6 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, morning. How are you?
I'm great, man.
Good.
We are in the wild time as all the kids are wrapping up school stuff.
Geez,
so it's like, this sport's wrapping up. My daughter's got job training for this summer job, all that stuff.
Nice.
So it's the evenings are wild.
Yeah, they are. I got to go sit in an auditorium tomorrow for hours. It's a stupid awards where they make everybody sit in the auditorium. This could be an individual group that could be accomplished in 30 minutes, but no. 3 hours sitting in the
what award is your child?
I have no idea. It's no clue. She doesn't know either. So this happens with the kids. They don't pay attention. They don't care. They don't know. So we have no clue. We'll see.
Well, it's a beautiful day in the greatest country in world history. We're gearing up for a whole morning of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab your coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Great show coming up in just a few minutes. Chris Murray, partner with First and 14th Law, is going to be joining us to dive into the Cohen testimony that took place yesterday. Was it a good day for Trump? Was it a bad day for Trump? He's going to give us the updates on that. Priscilla Rhan, running as a candidate for Douglas County Commissioner, joins us in the 7 o'clock hour. We can get into Jerry Seinfeld's commencement speech, which was amazing. Actually, one of the better ones I've ever heard. And I've sat through a lot of them. Believe me, it was my job to sit on that stage and stare forward for about 8 hours. So it was a good speech he gave. And then Wall Street Journal, world birth rates decline. This is a big one. One. So we'll cover that in the 9 o'clock hour.
Also, you don't know about this one. I brought something special. We're going to wait until Mark Crowley comes in because we are going to taste something on the air.
Is that like a spicy chip?
That it's not. No, I'm not telling you. I'm just telling you that something that is unnatural and should not have been created in any laboratory on the planet has emerged, and we are going to try it.
All right. So for those of you listening, I just flashed right back to high school. Bill holds up a little baggie. And he's like, hey. Guess what I had, Jeff?
No. And I've got, and again, so each one, and we're going to rope Crowley when he shows up into this as well. Hopefully, I've got 3 of them. So one baggie for each person, all the same. That's all I'm going to tell you. We're going to have to try it live on the air later today.
This is like a Native American snake skin tasting thing that it's going to take me to new levels of enlightenment.
It's one of those things that you see it on the store shelf and you're like, oh, you got to be kidding me. All right, we're doing this one on the air. So we're going to do this one. That'll be later on today when we have a lull in the action. Yeah, that'll be a surprise.
Let's check in with Blake Olson's news. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Bill. It's Tuesday, 49 and partly cloudy outside in Denver, expecting highs in the upper 70s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, 10 protesters face charges and Auraria campus placed on lockdown on Monday after they occupied restricted space. University of Denver warning Hamas supporters that they could be disciplined if they continue to refuse to show IDs. The chancellor says ID checks help with safety, of course, while protesters are allowed. Only students, faculty, and staff can participate and are required to show identification. Imagine that. Despite this, many protesters are still refusing to show IDs and say that going against protocols is an important part of protesting. Sounds like paid protesters. The group DU for Palestine has had a homeless encampment set up on the campus since last week and are demanding that the university cut all ties with Israel. Doggone it. Out of the 10 most dangerous states in the country, Colorado is third. U.S. News and World Report says that is due to having the second highest property crime rate, especially car theft. As for violent crimes like murder and assault, those seem to be average with the rest of the top 10 list. On the flip side, the report names Colorado the 16th best overall. Former President Trump's fired lawyer, Michael Cohen, is expected to take the stand today in the campaign derailment trial in New York. Judge Janine on Fox News Channel last night.
This guy is so corrupt. He's not just a convicted felon. He is a convicted liar and a convicted perjurer. That is the essence of incredible. He should have a sign on his forehead that reads, liar.
The FBI and Department of Homeland Security issuing a warning about Pride Month. I think that's in June. Officials say terrorists and their supporters may seek to target large LGBTQ plus gatherings next month. Federal officials say there could be attempts to impersonate police or bypass security at Pride events. Many Americans don't expect inflation to come down anytime soon. Steve Forbes says this is why President Biden is in the tank, even though he lies about the rates.
And he tries to make people believe the inflation rate was high when he took office. It was 1.5%. It reached a peak of 9%. And if you include interest payments, which people have to make on mortgages, on car purchases, on credit card borrowings, the real price of cost of living went up 18% and is still going up at a 7 or 8% rate today. That's why his ratings on the economy are in the tank.
A News is brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954, online at lairfireplacepatio.com. Monday, the NHL suspended Avs forward Valeri Nichushkin without pay for at least 6 months. Nichushkin had previously been placed in the player assistance program for anxiety, depression, and alcohol abuse. A few hours later on Monday, the Avs taking on the Stars at Ball Arena, Game 4, Western Conference semifinals.
Heiskanen, they are isolating through the center. Johnson shoots and scores. The 20-year-old has his second of the night.
Wyatt Johnston, turning 21 today, scored twice, and Dallas leads this series now 3-1 after the 5-1 victory over the Avs. Nuggets try to up their lead 3-2 tonight against the T-Wolves in Lodo in Game 5 of the Western Conference semifinals against Minnesota, and the Rockies have won their 5th straight, 5-4 over the Padres. It's 46 in Broomfield, 45 in Castle Rock, and 49 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast, it'll be fair to partly cloudy. Daytime temperature readings today will be climbing into the mid to upper 70s with scattered showers and thunderstorms, a good bet, come late afternoon and evening. And we may have some overnight showers, mid to upper 40s. Cooler, scattered showers and thunderstorms, mid 60s and cloudy Wednesday. Lingering showers Wednesday night 40s. Highs near 70 Thursday with a late day shower, but warming back to the upper 70s to near 80 Friday and Saturday. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're tracking the Trump trial taking place in Manhattan today. Michael Cohen testified yesterday. Will be back on the stand today. They're taking Wednesday off and Friday off. Wednesday, they typically take off. That's normally what happens in this case. And then Friday, they're giving President Trump off the time so he can go back down to Florida and attend his son's high school graduation. So you got a few more days, but this is the big fish. This is the big witness that everybody's been waiting for. Michael Cohen, again, testifying yesterday, may face cross-examination today. We'll see how long it takes the prosecution to get through their case. But joining us in studio is Chris Murray. He's a partner with First and 14th Law, and he's been helping us analyze this case. How's it going for Trump? Good week for Trump, bad week for Trump. Chris, thanks for being on the Jeff and Bill program.
Hey, it's my pleasure to be here. Good morning, fellas.
So yesterday, give us your sense. Well, first of all, let's talk about who Michael Cohen was and is.
Yeah, was, who he was, who he is, who he will be.
Yeah, let's start there. And why is he important to this case?
Sure, that's fair. So Michael Cohen was and I'm going to use this term. The folks watching online can see I've got the scare quotes up like with my fingers. Yeah, he was a fixer for the Trump organization. He was also a lawyer for the Trump organization. But Michael Cohen didn't really function as a lawyer. He functioned as sort of a human fire hose. What his job was, and by the way, this is not unique to the Trump organization, right? Any publicly prominent individual, right? Sometimes publicly prominent companies will keep somebody around, whether permanently paying them or in the Rolodex, like for a quick call. If there's a crisis, you call this person to help make it go away. And that's what Michael Cohen did for the Trump organization for about 10 years. I think he joined the Trump organization like in the late 2000s.
Yeah, and some of the stuff he did was call media reporters if they were doing bad articles on Trump. This was even before Trump ever thought about running for president.
And again, this is a completely having somebody do this is totally legitimate. Frankly, you have to do it if you're very public. As some of your listeners probably know, I worked for a presidential campaign, right? And I was deputy general counsel for that campaign. I was the person who called the media for that campaign a couple times when there were ridiculous stories getting ready to come out where there was no basis for it. And what does a lawyer do on a call like that? They call up the reporter and say, hey, what's your basis for this? Because I'm going to tell you why it's false. And if you continue to go forward with this story, knowing what I have now told you, this begins to look like actual malice. And this begins to look like something that my guy can sue you for.
Interesting.
And that was a big part of what Michael Cohen did for Donald Trump.
And how, just on a sidebar, how would the media respond? How would this liberal media often respond to that?
I mean, most reporters, when you're talking to them like that, they listen up, right? I mean, they listen up. Well, I mean, because look, when you say, hey, here's some stuff, it's very rare that they get a lawyer calling them, right? So if a lawyer calls them and says, hey, I want to walk you through, right, why your story's false, and they're getting half an hour maybe of your time to kind of go back and forth with you. Most of the time, if they say, well, I hadn't heard some of that, I've got to look into it. Who could I call to verify this? Who else would know this, right? Most reporters will listen to that. Then again, if it's Donald Trump these days, I don't know how much they would listen.
So Michael Cohen does that for a number of years for Donald Trump, fixes problems, and he's called to testify. He's got recordings.
Yep.
How did yesterday go for Donald Trump?
I mean, so I think how it ends up having gone for him in the long run is going to turn on the cross-examination today. I will say as a lawyer, I did not think yesterday went that well for the president because and the reason for that is that the best way to cross-examine Michael Cohen, right, is to say, hello, sir. You've been convicted for perjury, haven't you? Right. And so you're a documented and serial liar. Right. So why should this jury believe anything you have to say? The secret recording. Right. And this has been in the news before, but the recording that he made of what he says is allegedly working out one of these two payments, specifically getting money to himself to make the payment. I think it was to Ms. McDougal, and then also working out how to get money to David Pecker, the publisher of the National Enquirer, to reimburse him for a payment he made to Stormy Daniels. I think I just have those two backwards, actually. I think the payments went the other way. The sound of the fact that Donald Trump's voice is on the recording asking, how much do we have to pay for this, right? And some of it's out of context, and the cross-examination is going to bring that out. But hearing David Cohen's voice and Donald Trump's voice on the same tape, the reason the prosecution, that's so important to the prosecution and I think beneficial for them, is it insulates this against it just being David Cohen's story, right? Because David Cohen's a liar. We know this.
Michael Cohen.
Oh, sorry. Michael Cohen's a liar. Cohen. I apologize to all the David Cohens out there.
So help me understand where the crime is, right? Has Donald Trump said that he never paid Stormy Daniels?
I mean, so no. I mean, he's been ambiguous about it.
Right, but he never denied
Right.
that there was a payment, a hush money payment to Stormy Daniels.
Well, and by the way, even if he denied it, right, making a hush money payment, and people use this term hush money.
Right, it's not illegal.
People make these payments all the time.
Yeah,
That's completely legal. Like,
right.
hey, I mean, anybody who's ever been involved in a lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
If the case settles, most of the time there's a confidentiality agreement. There's also a mutual non-disparagement agreement.
Right.
What does that mean? Hey,
It happens if you leave a company sometimes too. right?
totally, because sometimes there's bad feelings in a situation
Yeah.
like that, and we're going to both agree that we're not going to say something nasty about the other one, right? So that we can move on with our lives.
Yeah.
People make those sorts of payments every day. It's totally legal.
Right. So what if he has this recorded? That's where I'm kind of like
Right.
going.
Well,
So he made this payment, and this is here's where I'm ultimately trying to go.
Mhm.
Is he's relying on this guy who has a legal degree. He's certified to be a lawyer in the state of New York. He's relying on his advice. Donald Trump's not an expert in this stuff. If Michael Cohen wants to set up this company to pay this, to do that type of thing, where's the crime?
Well, I mean, so this, by the way, gets to in this New York case. I was with you guys last week, right? And I think I mentioned that the big issue here is the big legal issue is the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, knew about these payments, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Decided they were not criminal,
Yeah.
right? Did fine the National Enquirer for an undisclosed campaign contribution,
Okay.
right? But civilly, didn't deal with it criminally. The theory of the New York prosecutors is that Donald Trump's company cooked the books to hide these payments because these payments were evidence of a crime, except there was no underlying crime, right?
Yeah.
That's the legal argument.
Right.
Factually, though, right, sometimes the law and the facts, right, while the trial is going on, can kind of get separated.
Okay.
It's a judge's job to make sure that the only facts that come in are relevant to the law, right? As we know, the judge in this case is giving the prosecutors a lot of leeway. Some folks might say the judge in this case is giving the prosecutors the ability to basically air all the dirty laundry they want,
Yeah.
whether they can
right.
get a conviction or not, right? So Cohen's testimony is troublesome just because it makes it look like Donald Trump knew what Cohen was up to. Cohen is testifying, look, I actually learned how to make these sorts of payments and make them hard to track down from Donald Trump. I didn't set stuff up. It wasn't really my advice on how to do it. Donald Trump already knew how to do this, and I was sort of schooled in his school of how to make these sorts of payments. And I was just doing something that he orchestrated and knew how to set up.
But again, so what? So what if he created this little side company? So what if money went to a hush, to keep a sexual liaison that he had? So what?
I mean, so again, that's where I completely agree with that as a legal matter.
Yeah.
Right. But if you look at what has happened over the last week in the case, like who have the two big witnesses been? Right. First, Stormy Daniels, Stephanie
Right.
Clifford. Right. One of the two porn stars, or I guess the porn star. What does she say? Most of her testimony is about, right, embarrassing details of the alleged sexual liaison, right, and things that she heard.
In some capacity, yeah. And Bill and I were talking about this because if you read the transcripts, it is detail oriented. It's detail on the type of floor. It's detail on the flowers. It's detail on the magazine. It's detail on the tables. It was detail on the light coming in. And then the deed happens and she can't remember anything about it.
Right.
She's like,
right.
All of a sudden I have no clothes on and I'm looking at the ceiling and you're like, how? And she's not like a person that is not used to being in front of people with no clothes on.
100%. And I actually thought the cross-examination of her, some in the media were criticizing that. I thought the cross-examination of her was relatively effective exactly on that point, right? But what's the prosecution doing? Trying to say, look, forget about whether there was a federal crime. This is embarrassing. Trump wanted to cover it up, and trying to turn that into a crime in and of itself. It will be on the defense to come out and say exactly what you just said.
Well,
so what, guys?
I got to jump because I don't understand the issue about what the underlying crime is. That's fairly obvious. It was a personal payment that Donald Trump had Michael Cohen pay, and then he claimed it as a business expense. That's the underlying crime. The idea of what's the crime here that we're asking the question, the crime is very well defined. Whether or not it rises to the level of a felony, I would disagree. It seems to me to be a misdemeanor that 9 times out of 10 would be dealt with a fine. And part of it is because, Trump did claim for amorphous legal expenses, work that Michael Cohen at that time objectively did not provide. And he claimed it as a business expense, not a personal expense. And what Bragg is doing is saying, no, this was a personal expense, not a business expense. And he's hiding this, and it's not allowed, and he's not allowed to do that. That is the underlying crime. To me, not a felony. They're raising it based on the election into felony, but that is a misdemeanor. Right. And under New York law, from my understanding, is a misdemeanor because you can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, Bill, if they were bringing that case, maybe I'd have to see the jury instruction on, because they're not bringing a tax case, right? No. So what they're bringing is an election corruption case, right? Yeah. That the underlying crime is corrupting the 2016 presidential election. Yeah. And the only way you get there is that the public had a right to know about this liaison, right? Yeah. There was this payment made to shush it up, and that payment needed to be made by the Trump organization. I'm sorry, by the Trump campaign, right? Or at least disclosed as a contribution to the Trump campaign because it benefited the Trump campaign, and it wasn't. Yeah. And the FEC said, hey, maybe the FEC said, as far as the National Enquirer goes, civil fine, yeah, that looks like maybe it was an undisclosed contribution, right? Michael Cohen, nothing, right? So
however, he has been charged for perjury, etc., for this specific act as well. So part of what he was, etc. So there have been some criminal consequences for that. And part of Bragg's case is that they did not make it a Trump organization payment. They hid it by making it a Trump campaign. They hid it by making a Trump org payment, and it was beneficiary for Donald Trump, and the business shouldn't be paying to cover up for his mistress. It's the same thing that WWE chairman Vince McMahon was just outed for recently. Same thing. He was using company money to pay for his liaisons. Yeah, sure. That's what they bounced him for.
I mean, sure, that's right. I mean, but but again, like, who do you owe? I mean, we're getting into the legalese here, but like when you run a company, right? Yeah. Who do you owe the duty of loyalty to, right? The duty of care, like when you're running that company, you owe it to your shareholders, right? The people who have a profit interest in that company. And if you're using company money to pay for personal expenses, leave aside if it's something salacious like this, if it's even like, hey, I went and bought myself a car, right? The people who have got a claim against you are those shareholders. That is not ordinarily a crime, right? Now, it might be theft, right? It might be theft from the company, but as I think we discussed last week, and I know some other times I've been on the show, the only person in America who would be charged with this is Donald Trump.
I want to bring this up about the fact that Michael Cohen did this for Trump regularly, right? So he was the guy that went out and browbeated the media on a regular basis. Was that to the benefit of Donald Trump personally or to Donald Trump's company?
Right. So the argument from the Trump organization is going to be, if Donald Trump is harmed, the Trump organization is harmed. Because, I mean, and by the way, there's something to this when it comes to Donald Trump, because like
his name's on everything.
It's on literally everything. Like, remember, like, he doesn't drink, and he's got wineries, and he had a vodka company, right? He puts his name on literally everything, and he is the brand. And so I guarantee there will be an argument from Trump's lawyers saying, this is like, if Donald Trump's image is harmed, right, the company is harmed. It hurts our brand value. And that's why the company ought to be making these payments anyway, right? Because leaving aside whether it's true or false, right? And by the way, one of the best facts here that a lot of folks haven't talked about in Michael Cohen's testimony for President Trump, and I expect the defense to emphasize it when they start cross-examining Mr. Cohen and in their argument later, he actually paid to cover up 3 stories. Right.
The Bellman.
And one of them was unquestionably false.
That's
right?
exactly
This is the love child story that the Bellman from his building said that, that Trump had, right? Everybody agrees that was just made up, right? Well, that person also was given money to go away, right? And that's also not surprising because companies do this all the time. It's why people make up stories sometimes.
Well, and the calculation is, so let's use the bellman, for example, right? The calculation is, all right, I'm going to have to spend the next 2 weeks of my life dealing with interview after interview after interview after interview about this, denying it. I've got to go on CNN and Fox and MSNBC, and I've got to spend all this time. Yeah. And I could just pay this guy $50,000, and which is what they paid him.
Yep.
And I don't have to deal with it at all.
Right. And again, I think that if you look at so the prosecution will say, well, you paid these two women a lot more each. Not really. I mean, paid them a little over $100,000 to go away. And
they were actually like public figures. No one knows who the bellman is.
Correct. And I think that the defense will be wise to not spend a lot of time focus on whether or not which story was true,
right?
But instead to just say, we know for sure there was at least one false story in here, right? And what was illegitimate about that payment, right? Now, what was illegitimate about that?
The question I have is if we are assuming that Trump Organization and lots of other businesses go ahead and make these type of hush money payments, is the process involved here the one that is used in all the others? Did they use the standard procedure? If Trump Organization was trying to protect the Trump name and brand, is this the manner in which they need to do it, and would be the acceptable ethical way to do business?
So I'll tell you, this is why right at the beginning when Jeff asked, right, was it in general a good or bad day for President Trump? I think it was a bad day because of the atmospherics around that and because of the recording. Yeah. Right. That, what the recording makes it sound like, certainly the way the prosecution presented it. I think that the direct examination of Cohen yesterday was technical but effective. Right. And it makes it seem like, look, here's the biggest point that you got from that direct examination. Yeah. Donald Trump knew that there was going to be some money paid to some people, including Stormy Daniels. Yeah. Right. Well, eventually to get her silenced and Karen McDougal to get her silenced. And it appears that for whatever reason, he didn't want it done directly, right? Yeah. He wanted it done indirectly or in a way that was plausibly deniable or with cash or whatever, right? And that is, I won't say that it's like totally unusual, but I'll say that more often what you would see if the company said, for example, if the Trump Organization was saying, this will hurt our brand. We have to protect our brand. Why wouldn't the Trump Organization just pay it directly? That will be the prosecution's argument.
And that is what would normally happen, is normally in those situations, even if it is a false claim against a business, the business writes the check. The lawyer doesn't go out and take out personal loans and then later claim they're offering legal services, and that goes down to the books of the business. That's the system, and that's part of the underlying crime, is the manner in which they went about this. Yeah, and that's the issue too here.
And for the record, for all my clients listening, I do not offer that service.
That's good. That's good.
Speaking of that, we're talking to Chris Murray. He's a partner with First and 14th. They deliver fearless, creative, and principled advocacy for their clients' most significant legal matters, public and private. You can visit their website, first-14th.com. That's first-14th.com. We'll continue this conversation about Michael Cohen. I want to talk to you a little bit about QC Kinetics real quick. Are you tired of living with constant back pain robbing you of the joy in life? You're not alone. Back pain affects millions, impacting quality of life. Look, as you get older, movement is absolutely necessary in order to have quality of life. You got to keep those joints moving. You got to keep those muscles strong. If you're having problems, there's hope. My friends at QC Kinetics Denver offer regenerative medical treatments. These are not surgical, and they are drug-free solutions. As we age, lower back pain becomes common, from muscle strains to herniated discs. Symptoms like muscle aches and shooting pain can worsen with movement. Why risk surgery when there's a safer option? With no downtime and a free consultation, QC Kinetics often provides same-day treatment. Visit my friends at QC Kinetics and revolutionize your approach to lower back pain. Give them a call, 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986, or visit painfreecolorado.com to schedule your free consultation today. And be sure to tell them Jeff sent you. We'll continue with Chris Murray talking Michael Cohen and the Trump trials. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour in Brussels, I'm Alex Cadier. Here are the top stories we're following. Israel has continued to press on with its military offensive in Rafah, despite widespread international opposition and condemnation. Nearly 400,000 people have been forced to flee the city, many of whom had already been displaced from other parts of the Gaza Strip earlier in the war. Israel's military is also trying to recapture a part of northern Gaza from Hamas fighters, an operation which has involved some of the most intense fighting of the war. Israel's operation in Rafah has forced the main border crossing into Egypt to close, stopping the flow of much-needed humanitarian aid. Hamas, meanwhile, has targeted the Kerem Shalom crossing to Israel. Americans are bracing for even higher inflation pressures over the next few years and accelerating home price increases. In New York, Haley Bianco has more details.
The findings come from a new report by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The bank said in its latest survey of consumer expectations that respondents project inflation a year from now at 3.3% from March's 3%, while inflation 3 years from now is seen moderating to an expected 2.8% rise from the prior month's 2.9%. 5-year ahead inflation was seen at 2.8% versus March's 2.6%. In the survey, respondents also reported expecting high price pressures a year from now across all measured categories.
And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Alex Cadier in Brussels on Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's going to be nice today. 77 degrees. Few afternoon showers. By the way, right after this, I'm going to head downtown and join our Jewish friends for the Israeli Independence Day celebration down at the state capitol, 12 to 5 on the east steps of the state capitol. So if you want to join me down there, love to see you. Joining us in studio is Chris Murray. He's a partner with First and 14th. They're a law firm here in Colorado that do great work, but he's got a great background in campaign law, working for a number of presidential campaigns. And I want to talk about Michael Cohen, what happened yesterday. Help me understand why an attorney would record their client.
I mean,
it seems unethical to me.
Yeah. I mean, so almost never for like a great reason for the client.
Right.
And, for the record, the only time I've ever recorded a client was the client asked me to.
Yeah.
Right. So,
or a deposition.
That's like the one good reason is like, hey, we're preparing for trial. The client wants to hear themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Or the client wants to save money instead of having, sometimes you'll memorialize like a little piece of legal advice in a memo that you give to them.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a couple clients occasionally say, hey, like, are you okay if we just like record the conversation and then I can keep that? No problem. Right. That's the good reason. That's not why Michael Cohen did this. Michael Cohen said in court the reason why he did it was so that he could play the recording, right, or parts of it for David Pecker at the National Enquirer, so that Pecker would know that he was going to be repaid by the Trump organization for the National Enquirer's payment for the Karen McDougal story. That's what Cohen said. I think naturally Michael Cohen's going to be cross-examined by President Trump's lawyers, and they're going to say, well, actually, the reason that you did it was so that you could be sitting in this chair right now.
Or make money later.
100%.
Sell this, write books.
100%.
I mean,
which, by the way, he's done.
Right.
He's done.
And these TikTok videos.
Yeah.
How big of a problem are these TikTok videos? So if you're not familiar with this, for a number of evenings following the case, he would get on TikTok and tell people what he thought about the case. That was problematic in itself because he's a witness, but TikTok provides this monetary side of it where people can gift you money. And he ends up with these weird little funny hats that he doesn't put on himself, but people pay to put on him. It's wild. But the judge not happy about this.
No, I mean, the judge shouldn't be happy about it. So, by the way, look, can we just start with a little table setting on TikTok? TikTok is always a problem. Like don't get on it. It's poison, right? I won't deny that it's entertaining, but lots of things that are bad for you are entertaining. But no, the TikTok stuff, somebody just actually showed this to me last weekend.
Yeah.
I was totally ignorant of it. But yeah, he's going on giving sort of Michael Cohen's thoughts on what's happening in the Trump trial, and people are paying to put graphics on his face and like hats on his head and stuff, and he's just sitting there like some court jester, right? I mean, really looks like a complete fool, but he's monetizing this in real time, right? Yeah, if I was the judge, I would think it was a huge problem because you are a witness, you're speaking to the public, and you're offering your opinion for money, right? That makes the whole proceeding seem less serious. Right. And it also, by the way, I won't be surprised if we see some of those TikTok videos when he is cross-examined.
Really? They can bring that in?
Why not? I mean, you can use it to impeach him. Right now, they may say, Mr. Cohen, isn't it true that you've made a little cottage industry of offering your opinions on how this trial is going for your former client? Yes, that's true. And isn't it true that you've made X, dollars doing that for people to put like silly elf hats on your head digitally while you do that? Yes, that's also true. So if he admits all of that, they might not be able to bring the TikTok videos in, right? But if he fights on any of that, right, and says, oh, well, I don't know if I'd say that I allowed an elf hat on my head. So, okay, let's bring up Defense Exhibit 7, right? And it's going to be him in a dumb elf hat.
Help me understand the gross up payments, because I think that this, from my read, and I'm not an attorney, I'm married to one, which makes, our fight's interesting, which is like, Mr. Hunt, did you or did you not say you were going to do the dishes?
Mrs. Hunt, did you or did you not agree to marry me?
Right. And I get cross-examined. So I'm reading through the grossed up payments. These are payments made from Donald Trump to Michael Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
This gets involved with the CFO. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump adds additional money. So it's not just $150,000 to Stormy Daniels. It's now money, or whatever it was. Yeah. It's money to cover taxes, to pay a bonus, all that stuff. And then they just write it in the ledger as legal services. And I would go, well, yeah, that's exactly what they are. Legal services, aren't they?
I mean, listen, and this is, again, and I know Bill will probably cringe on the other side of the glass here, right? Because I actually hate both sidism as much as I think you do. But this is just one of those, you can't ignore just the poetic irony here, right? Remember the Steele dossier.
Yep.
Okay. This is the exact issue with the Steele dossier. Okay. The Perkins Coie law firm, which represented Hillary Clinton's campaign, by the way, like in the exact same time frame as this, paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, as it turns out, to this ex-British spy to write essentially sort of a gross piece of fan fiction, right, about Donald Trump and shop it around to the government to get Crossfire Hurricane started. The Hillary Clinton campaign paid for that. How did they do that? They paid extra money to their law firm, Perkins Coie, and said legal services, right?
And how is it not legal services if the law firm's doing the work?
Well, I mean, so the FEC, when it came to that, said that's not legal services, right? Because what the law firm was doing actually is maybe laundering money, so that when you go to the FBI with the Steele dossier, the FBI can't get on the Federal Election Commission's website and say, hey, hold on a second. The guy who wrote this is a vendor for your campaign. You paid him $200,000. Why should we trust this?
Yeah. And then the idea being that when Jeff, you're talking about why wouldn't it be legal services? What function would and again, someone can drink on that one, would the law firm have in paying for a dossier to be created that assists one of their clients?
Right.
There's no legal boundaries there. They're not providing a single legal service. The same thing with, and that's the issue with Michael Cohen on the payments, when he pays the money to Stormy Daniels, there's nothing legal involved. I could do that and I don't have to have a bar degree. So it's not a legal service.
But I guess if Michael Cohen's calling these media outlets to browbeat him, is that legal services?
I mean, so I'll actually say what Michael Cohen was doing here. And Bill, everything you just said is totally fair, right? But what Michael Cohen's doing here is, I actually think, a heck of a lot closer to legal services than what the Perkins Coie law firm was doing with the Steele dossier.
Yeah, because he's negotiating,
right? Because at least here there was ostensibly
NDAs and stuff.
Exactly. At least here there was something that kind of looks like a settlement payment, right, or a legal agreement for the rights to something.
Yeah.
And again, let's say, for example, and I mean, I wouldn't ever recommend a lawyer do this, right, but I'm sure it's happened before, that, hey, your client needs to make a settlement payment. They've been your client for 40 years. You trust them implicitly. They've never been late on a bill. They come to you and say, I am so embarrassed, right? But I've got a problem with my bank and I can't fund this settlement today. Will you please front me the money to make that payment? And you say, geez, you paid me all these years. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to do this, right? There'd be nothing unethical about a lawyer doing that, right? And then the client comes back and says, a month later when they've got the problem solved, hey, I know you've been sweating this. Thank you so much. Here's the money that you paid. Plus, here's a bonus for that, because I appreciate the service that you just provided me, right? And they called it legal services on their books. I'd say that's probably accurate, right? And that's going to be the argument from the Trump organization, right? Is going to be that, well, these were legal services. And we added stuff to it, not to be generous, right? But because he earned the money. His job was to make problems like this go away. He did it.
Yeah. And the difficulty in that one is going to be the idea that the Trump organization couldn't find $130,000. They have more than enough assets. And that's going to be the problem with that is that tell me how this billion-dollar company couldn't write a $130K check. That's going to be a tough one for them to sell. That'll be on the redirection. That'll be where it goes.
So again, I agree. And that's why at the very top of the hour, when I said, I didn't think it was a great day for President Trump because like that, whether that is a crime or not, right?
Yeah.
The idea that it seems like President Trump wanted to have the money come from somewhere other than something traceable to him, at least immediately. That's where if you're in the jury, right? If I'm a juror, and I mean, it's so tough to be, imagine being an impartial juror in a case like this. But if you're a juror and this was anybody else, you'd say, why? I'm interested in why do that? I think they would be asking themselves exactly that question after the prosecution's questioning of Michael Cohen yesterday.
Talking to Chris Murray, he's a partner with First and 14th about the Michael Cohen testimonies that are taking place yesterday, today, and possibly tomorrow. We'll continue to track this. If you want to learn more about First and 14th, go to first-14th. That's all spelled out.com. That's their website there. They deliver fearless, creative, and principled advocacy for their clients' most significant legal matters, public and private, served on multiple presidential campaigns. Chris, thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill Show.
And it's always my pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Hey, if you know me, you know I've had challenges with my teeth. It's just genetics. And I visit a dentist 3 times a year. I get the cleanings. I've got pretty much every device out there to make sure my teeth work well in spite of the challenges I was born with. But I want to talk to you about Dr. Mike at Rocky Mountain Dental Group. I know dentists, and he is a great one. He helps people like you and me look and feel amazing by providing the best dental care available. You can see for yourself all the 5-star reviews at RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. Here's one. Do yourself a favor. Go there. Staff goes beyond expectations. They provide excellent service, affordable, friendly, reasonable, gentle, careful, kind service. And if you're experiencing recession on your upper or lower gums, that happens to a lot of us as we get older, especially if you had braces later in life, ask Dr. Mike about the groundbreaking procedure called pinhole gum rejuvenation technique, a treatment option for those experiencing receding gums. It's scalpel-free, suture-free, and it's a graft-free procedure. Just a tiny pinhole and a gentle repositioning of the gums. Visit RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. That's RockyMountainDentalGroup.com, or give them a call, 303-233-1335 for a free consultation, 303-233-1335. When we return, you choose the news. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
All right, let's do You Choose the News, Bill.
Alrighty, yes, it is that time of the morning again where we get to play everybody's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. We have scoured the interwebs for mere moments this morning, found some really dumb stories about us humans, and given them even more ridiculous headlines to play this fake radio news game. Why? They have no idea we're doing it. It's the people in charge don't wake up until 7. So we're just going to waste a little time here and have a little fun, be a little silly. And Blake Olson from our newsroom joins us as well. Remember, this is proudly not sponsored by Roll 'em Out Shelves. I went and saw my mom yesterday. They were at her place. It was really cool.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it was nice. She didn't tell them that she knew me. It was very smart of her. All righty, here we go, gentlemen. The headlines today. Headline number 1, solving employee concerns. Headline number 2, do they have to change the name? Headline number 3, drifters inspired. And headline number 4, a little off the top. Your choice, sir.
I'm a little bit of a drifter.
All right, drifters inspired. This was unexpected. Recently, when a construction group of workers were working at the Family Fair grocery store in Midland, they were up on top of the roof doing some repairs, and they noticed something weird. It's an extension cord. This extension cord was plugged into an outlet there on the roof. And they followed the cord just like you would a trail of breadcrumbs. And there it led to the sign over Family Fair grocery store. They opened up a panel and found a woman living inside.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, a woman had set up shop inside the Family Fair grocery store sign that is on top of the building. In fact, she had been there for about a year. She said she needed to find somewhere to live. She had no other choices. In there, she actually had a mini desk. She had put up in some flooring and carpets. She had a pantry of food and even added a houseplant, for homey touches.
I love the innovation. You think those people would find a way to make it work
I know.
financially.
Here's the thing is, she has a job. She just can't afford rent, and she doesn't work at Family Fair. She
I
doesn't work
was
there.
going to say she doesn't work there.
No, she doesn't work there.
She
She works somewhere else.
She looked up at it and was like, I wonder if I could live in there.
Yeah, exactly. But it says something about how rent prices are as well. But yeah, she's like, I'm going to live in the sign. And the fact that nobody saw her all this time. All right. A little off the top. Do they have to change the name or solving employee concerns?
Little off the top.
Yeah, a little off the top. Here we're traveling to the lovely city of Atlanta for this one. And a very unique way to enrich yourselves. Maybe they got the idea from all those fancy Hollywood movies, but recently, Onyx Gentlemen's Club on Cheshire Bridge Road in Atlanta was robbed of more than $250,000, where 2 thieves cut a hole in the roof and did the whole Mission Impossible thing with the ropes down inside, and then used torches to break into their safes, and then got away with $250,000. They were inside the facility for several hours. Surveillance cameras didn't record them leaving until 6 a.m. So evidently they knew when the ladies show up. They were wearing white ski masks, gloves, and did the whole Mission Impossible.
They get away?
Yeah, they haven't caught them yet.
Wow.
$250,000. All righty, final story this morning. Blake Olson, your choice, sir.
You know what? Give me the choices again.
Solving employee concerns, or do they have to change the name?
Yes, the employee concerns. Sorry about that,
I know,
Billy. I was reading
solving employee concerns. Yes, Cornet Global has found out that maybe what employers need to do is solve some employee concerns. Not the things about working from home or getting more wages. Coffee. Definitely coffee. Yep. They're saying one of the biggest concerns employees going back into the office is the crappy coffee. So they say more coffee, better and happier workers. Remember, this is not sponsored by Roll 'em Out Shelves. Go get a free estimate from them today at rollemoutshelves.com.
Priscilla Rhan's up next. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
7 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, center, and sometimes a little crazy. It's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab your coffee, Denver, and we'll dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up in just a second, Priscilla Rhan. She's running for Douglas County Commissioner. We'll get some questions into her and get a sense of why she thinks she's best to lead that county. Let's check in on the news. Blake Olson's news. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Billy and Priscilla. 51 and mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting highs in the upper 70s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, one of the 10 most dangerous states in the country. Well, Colorado is third. U.S. News and World Reports say that that is due to having the second highest property crime rate, especially car theft. As for violent crimes like murder and assault, those seem to be average with the rest of the top 10 list. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston heading to Dublin, Ireland today, along with community and business leaders. It's an official visit meant to promote the city of Denver to Irish businesses and tourists. They'll return Friday on the first nonstop flight from Dublin to Denver.
Well, isn't that special?
10 protesters face charges at Auraria campus placed on lockdown Monday after they occupied restricted space. The University of Denver warning Hamas supporters that they could be disciplined if they continue to refuse to show IDs. The chancellor says only students, faculty, and staff can participate in protests and are required to show ID. They still refuse to show their IDs, and the group DU for Palestine has had a homeless encampment set up on campus since last week and are demanding that DU cut all ties with Israel. Coloradans can now build accessory dwelling units on their property known as ADUs. Some call these casitas or mother-in-law flats. Governor Polis says this provides a space for other family members or helps homeowners with extra income. He also signed a new law that encourages communities to build housing near transit, reducing time and money spent in the car. Oh, they love that. Just jam us all into apartments by the trains. Former President Trump's fired lawyer Michael Cohen is expected to take the stand again today in the campaign derailment trial in New York.
The only way he goes forward in life is if he helps convict Donald Trump. The amazing part of this is in order to do that, he will do whatever is necessary.
That's Judge Janine on Fox News Channel. On CNN, Fareed Zakari says it's desperation time for Democrats and President Biden.
I understand that polls are not always accurate, but in general, they have tended to underestimate Donald Trump's support, not overestimate it. Trend lines are not working in Biden's favor. He needs to do something bold and dramatic and reverse these numbers.
Like become a conservative. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security is issuing a warning about Pride Month. Officials say terrorists and their supporters may seek to target large LGBTQ plus gatherings next month. Federal officials say there could be attempts to impersonate police or bypass security at events. Monday, the NHL suspended Avs forward Valerie Nichushkin without pay for at least 6 months. Nichushkin was previously in the player assistance program for anxiety, depression, and alcohol abuse. A few hours later on Monday, the Avs taking on the Stars at Ball Arena in Game 4 Western Conference semifinals.
Heiskanen, they are isolated through the zone. Johnson shoots and scores. The 20-year-old has his second of the night.
Wyatt Johnston scored twice, and Dallas leads the series now 3-1 after the 5-1 victory over the Avs. Nuggets try to up their lead 3-2 tonight at home in lower downtown Denver against the T-Wolves. And the Rockies have won their 5th straight, 5-4 over the Padres on Monday. Didn't get to this on Monday, but I need to play this for you. Hall of Fame linebacker, in case you didn't hear it, Lawrence Taylor backing Trump in New Jersey on Sunday.
I just want to say I grew up a Democrat, and I've always been a Democrat until I met this man right here. I'll tell you what. He will not have to worry about nobody in my family ever vote for a Democrat again. Okay.
All right. For what it's worth, Otis Anderson also there, one of my favorite running backs of all time. I mean, he had the biggest legs and thighs. I don't think he wore thigh pads. He wore baggy pants, and it was outstanding. He was right next to LT during the rally on Sunday. All right, it's 49 in Arvada, 48 in Parker, 51 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast, it'll be fair to partly cloudy. Daytime temperature readings today will be climbing into the mid to upper 70s with scattered showers and thunderstorms, a good bet, come late afternoon and evening. And we may have some overnight showers, mid to upper 40s. Cooler, scattered showers and thunderstorms, mid 60s and cloudy Wednesday. Lingering showers Wednesday night 40s, highs near 70 Thursday with a late day shower, but warming back to the upper 70s to near 80 Friday and Saturday. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, joining the Jeff and Bill show, Priscilla Rhan. She's a wife, mother, small business owner, and 30-year educator, and a Republican candidate for Douglas County Commissioner. Priscilla, thanks so much for being on the program.
Hey, so excited to have you.
Good morning, fellas. It's good to be on with you.
All right, so you're in a competitive primary. You're not the only Republican running. Why are you the best to represent Douglas County as a county commissioner?
Well, you said the key word, which is represent. And I think a good representative is out in the community, knows the community, is current, and it's not just about who you know, but it's about who knows you. And I'm currently on the Planning Commission. This is my 4th year. Last year, I was the chair of the Planning Commission. And for those people who don't know what a Planning Commission does, we are a group of volunteers that represent our community to hear and listen to land use application. So we hear everything from location and extent. We talk about zoning, and these are just really important things that we hear to make recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners. And so I'm very current, I'm very relevant, and I'm all over the community because I just love Douglas County.
Priscilla, I want to talk about that because part of my concern about what's happened to Douglas County is development. We've had a 20-point swing in Douglas County in 10 years. What do I mean by that? When Mitt Romney ran for president, he won Douglas County by 20 points. Last cycle, when Heidi Ganahl ran, she won by less than 1 percentage point. You've had a 20-point swing. And I think that's in part due to high-density multifamily development that's taken place in Douglas County. It's changed Douglas County. It's starting to look more like Arapahoe County or Jefferson County. Tell me how you plan to maintain the culture, the conservative nature of Douglas County as a county commissioner.
So you are very correct. I have seen, and we've all seen, the growth in Douglas County, number one, because Douglas County is a very desirable place to live. And but there are protections in place in the comprehensive master plan around open space. There are very conservative people on the Planning Commission who are asking questions. We have awesome Republican commissioners who are being very responsible. But at the end of the day, you and I have been through LPR, which is Leadership Program of the Rockies. When you have developers come in and they own the property and they're in compliance with the density of the master plan, they have some leeway. But because of affordability, this is the thing. I've had conversations with developers asking questions about why it's so expensive to build a home. And a lot of that comes from water tap fees, bureaucracy. Every time that there's a delay, it makes the cost of building a home very, very expensive. And of course, those costs are then forwarded to the homeowner. But, you know, we're looking at even property tax fees. The Democrats are the ones that push through getting rid of Gallagher by deceiving the public with language on a ballot. So there are a lot of reasons why it's, you know, not only getting more dense, but not really affordable. So right now, the most affordable thing, if someone wants to live in Douglas County, is to get an apartment. But I'm very much pro home ownership. So one of the things I want to do is make sure that it doesn't cost an arm and a leg for a developer to build a single family home. We want to make it where the process is streamlined so that we can lower the cost, make sure that the process is swift so we're not delaying and the cost of materials are increasing. But also to say, hey, this is the culture of Douglas County. We like our land, our elbow room and space, and just have those conversations with developers while we are still trying to make sure that the cost of building is affordable. And then we can go into the whole conversation about water. I mean, we can't keep building if water is not available.
Do you support Sean Tonner and the work of RWR to try to bring water over from the San Luis Valley?
I support anybody that has an idea that we can look at to make sure that all of our residents of Douglas County have safe, affordable drinking water. And I think that's the job of a commissioner, to take an all of the above approach, listen, and be fair. But I'm not going to talk about any specific plan because I don't have a plan. And there's no plan in front of me, but I am looking forward to what the current Water Commission comes up with, because they're working together to put forth a plan before the county commissioners.
And now I want to talk about that independence, because I went through your Tracer donations. You've obviously raised a lot of money. You have a lot of support, but you're getting a lot of donations from developers. And part of the frustration I've had, not just in Douglas County, but places like Elbert County, is this kind of cozying up with developers where the commissioners seem to dismiss the concerns of existing citizens, the growth, the high growth, the development that's taking place, because some of these folks have been funded by developers. So tell me how you're going to be independent, how you're going to maintain the and balance all of these competing kind of passions and desires with regards to development and water in Douglas County.
That's a great question. I am very appreciative of every donation that I get. As you know, I've been the vice chair of the Colorado GOP. I've been all over the state, getting to know people, supporting Republicans and the growth of the GOP. And a lot of people have gotten to know me, and they're like, you know what, Priscilla, we're happy that you're running, and so we're going to support you. So what you're seeing on my tracer is simply a reflection of people having worked with me and believing in me and saying that they believe that I will do a great job. The second response I have is I have over a 4-year voting record on the Planning Commission. Those meetings are recorded. You can see my voting record on how I voted, and you will see what kind of conservative I am. And that my record speaks for itself. Second, the last thing I want to say is, you know, I'm not beholden to anybody. And for someone who is very independently minded, I just think that the right thing to do is to look at our comprehensive master plan, make a good decision. If it's a bad decision, then I'm going to say this is a bad decision. If it's a great decision, I'm going to say it's a great decision. I don't care who brings forth an application. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to listen. I'm going to ask a lot of questions, And then I'm going to listen to the public. I love when the public comes to our meetings and voices their opinion, because that impacts my decision too, because I care about my county. And if it's not good for Douglas County, then I'm not going to support it. And if it doesn't comply with our master plan and what the people of Douglas County have said we want, then it's probably not going to go through. But I think the best answer and the most responsible answer that I can give as someone who's just a candidate is people deserve to have someone who's fair, not bought and paid for. And I think that's also a cop-out. I've heard that for many years in the party. Just because someone gives you a donation, then they assume that you're beholden to them. And a lot of these, what we call big donors, are invested in the community as well. And they have a history of supporting conservative candidates. But that doesn't necessarily translate into you have to do everything that they say or demand that you do. And I'm not that kind of a person.
We're talking with Priscilla Rhan. She's a wife, a mother, a small business owner, 30-year educator, and a Republican candidate for Douglas County Commissioner. Are you happy with the master plan in Douglas County? You've been serving on the Planning Commission. Would you have any updates for it?
Well, we are. There are updates that will be forthcoming in a few years. And I think, yeah, you have to take a look at the trends where the growth is. I'm not really happy with a lot of the changes because, like, over by the tech center, the northernmost part of the county near Inverness, I'm starting to see some of that zoning change from light industrial to residential. And I had a tour of Centennial Airport, and there's a radius around the airport that it's just not a good idea to build homes because of the noise and the pollution. But I'm starting to see some activity over there, which concerns me. But again, when you're on a board, it's a committee decision, and I don't have unilateral power, but I do have a voice to say no, and I'm okay with sometimes being the only no vote or the only yes vote on something. But what I would do is see where the land is, again, overlay it with a lot of the other issues, fire mitigation, water, just to make sure we're being responsible about the growth and what's really realistic. So I think it's just a matter of sitting down with the comprehensive master plan and just going page by page.
Talking with Priscilla Rhan, I want to ask you about the current makeup of the board, the county commissioner board in Douglas County. There's been a lot of drama that's taken place there. How do you plan to work alongside your other commissioners?
Well, you can disagree without being disagreeable. And I think it's really important to respect your colleagues. If you have the conversations, you try to persuade, and when it's time for a vote, you take the vote and you move on, because there's always another vote. But I don't believe in the personal attacks. I know the community is very bothered by what they see, but I do know that I want to give our current county commissioners some props, because they've done a lot of great work. They have had several unanimous votes, and they pulled us out of Tri-County Health. Our county is debt-free. They lowered our mills. They're at the forefront of a lot of the things that we want. We're not a sanctuary county. All of these things, we need to remember the good work that they do and focus on that. And the way I operate is I work collaboratively. I get along with all three commissioners, and I respect all three commissioners, and there'll be times where we're going to work together and agree on everything. And there's sometimes we won't agree, and that's okay.
Talking with Priscilla Rhan, she's a wife, mother, small business owner, 30-year educator, and Republican candidate for Douglas County Commissioner. Priscilla, would you allow Castle Rock Pride to continue to host their festivals down there?
Well, Castle Rock Pride is the county commissioners have changed the policy. And from what I understand is they are not going to be in Castle Rock anymore. They're going to be in Parker. So that's they have decided to move their location. So it's not going to be in Castle Rock, but they do have a constitutional right to rent the fairgrounds. And I've had many conversations with folks in Castle Rock who feel like, there's jurisdiction in Castle Rock, and then there are people who say there's jurisdiction in the county. That's something I want to dig deep into. So, but as of right now, my understanding is that they won't be in Castle Rock.
I mean, how do you balance the fact that what they did was, a violation of our rules? Yeah, they can have a constitutional right to speak, but you can't engage in nudity.
Correct. No, I believe in the safety of our children. Number one, first and foremost, I'm a teacher. I'm a bonus mom. I think that protecting children is very, very important and very critical. And so that's why you need to have expectations that are clear in place. And if those policies are violated, then you have to take corrective action. So that's what I believe.
Okay, thanks. Priscilla Rhan, her website is priscillafordugco.com, priscillafordugco.com. I want to just ask you about the direction of the Republican Party today. You were the former vice chair under Christy Burton Brown. How is Dave Williams doing?
Well, I was also reelected for a second term under Dave, and then I stepped down in order to run for county commissioner. So I was under both of them. Here's what I think. I think that the job of the party is to support all candidates, especially in a primary. And what that means to me is you make yourself available to every candidate, whether that's data, whether that's information. I created the campaign Go Bag, because when I ran the first time for CU Regent and CD6 in 2020, there were no supports for me as a candidate. I didn't know what to do, so I created a document that I shared with all 64 counties and said, hey, if you have a new candidate who's never run before, here are the steps that they can take in order to run a successful campaign. My biggest disappointment is that we just didn't give enough support to all candidates. But my two hats that I wore when I was vice chair was community outreach and candidate support. That's really critical if we're going to win back some seats. Local races are important. I know these federal races are shiny and a lot of people want to support these bigger races, but these local races, the local candidates need a lot of support. So, I think that, Dave has his opinions about what needed to change. I guess we'll see if those ideas work or not. We'll know in November if those ideas work or not. But I would like to see the party be neutral in primaries and support all candidates.
Talking with Priscilla Rhan, wife, mother, small business owner, and 30-year educator, and a Republican candidate for Douglas County Commissioner. Her website, Priscilla, Priscilla, fordugco.com. No numbers in there, all spelled out. Priscilla fordugco.com. If you want to learn more about her positions. Final question for you. What are two tangible things you'd like to achieve in your first term as Douglas County Commissioner?
I would like to see us have a comprehensive water plan so that our county can make sure that all of our residents all over Douglas County have access to safe, affordable drinking water. And then I also want to see us increase our law enforcement presence. We're growing. We have an amazing sheriff. Public safety is really key. And I want to just keep Douglas County, Douglas County.
Right. Priscilla Rhan, thanks again for being on the Jeff and Bill Show. Again, her website, priscillafordugco.com. Thanks for taking all the hard questions. We appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime.
All right. That's Priscilla Rhan running for Douglas County Commissioner. We'll have some of the other Republicans in that primary on as well in the coming weeks. Primary's coming up. It's about 6 weeks away. So we'll be diving into a lot of these races over the next 6 weeks. Hey, I want to talk to you about Roll 'em Out shelves. We've had them out to our house Joyce and Brent are wonderful people, absolutely wonderful people. It was like having my mom and my brother over. It was very personable, great conversations. We talked about faith. We talked about family. Talked about a love for this country. And then we got to work. Roll them out shelves will allow you to easily access your pots, pans, and other essentials, eliminating chaos and increasing speed and functionality in your home. They did all the measurements that are coming a week from tomorrow, I think, out to our house to do the installation. Very excited. So every kind of drawer level and design can have roll them out shelves, just about. I mean, they had some for our cabinets, for our laundry room, as well as for smaller spaces as well. So you can pull them out. And if you're kind of like us, you have some shelves that pull out, but those are builder grade. They're not the quality that roll them out shelves brings. For less than $1,000, when Roll 'em Out Shelves efficiently organizes your space, they do it with sturdy Baltic birch shelves built right here in Colorado and guaranteed for life. Call for your free in-home estimate today, 303-475-9601. That's 303-475-9601 or rollemoutshelves.com. Be sure to tell them Jeff sent you, rollemoutshelves.com. We'll continue with your calls and texts. Well, let us know what you think of Priscilla Rhan. Would you support her? Text us 710-KNUS app or give us a call 303-696-1971. That's 303-696-1971. We'll continue with your calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Just wrapped up an interview with Priscilla Rhan. A lot of text messages coming in. Some supporters, I have donated her. She's very level-headed and will fight for the right.
It's
Let's
good
look at
conversation.
some of the other ones. We have some tough
people
questions.
supporting. Yeah.
I really wanted to support Priscilla, but she lost me on that water commission. That's a scam against Douglas County taxpayers. It's the bread man from Highlands Ranch.
Next time she comes on, text in, give us some more other questions, and we'll ask her about it.
Ask her about Sterling Ranch and all the liberals moving down there next to Roxborough and ruining everything. They're destroying all the open land down there by Roxborough. Her pants are going to burst into flames if we keep asking her questions. What about the water tap fees for all the new apartments?
Yeah. And obviously, development is an issue because we do have a clashing in the state right now. And it is with housing prices, population, and density. And there have to be solutions. And although I am not convinced that the solutions are to build the houses further away from the central population centers. I just
go further and further away out there.
I'm not convinced that the people that have chosen to live in Roxborough and Monument and where you are in Elbert County, Jeff, they made that choice because of the absence of people.
Yes.
I don't think we should bring the people there. I think we should be doing things that are closer to the cities. Also, when the people are moving out into those Roxborough State Park and moving out to Monument and going to Elbert County, they're also having to, commute. So it's going to make traffic worse. It makes congestion worse. It takes more, it impacts the roads more. So if we put more people out in Elbert County where Jeff is, the impact on the road is going to be more significant, and they're going to end up with more taxes in order to pay for extra stuff on the road because they're going to have to do more road grading. You have dirt roads, but again, they have to be graded. So they have to be taken care of.
If you notice some of this is a fight for the hunts. I mean, it's just it's something that's part of what we don't like happening to Elbert County, and it's for a few reasons. So I'm going to get a little detailed and a little passionate on what's happening with development in Colorado.
Alrighty.
All right. So you've had political realities change, right? You've had a 20-point shift in Douglas County.
Yeah.
And you have to go, why? You at least ask that, why? I mean, school board races are contentious. Jeffco has totally changed. Arapahoe County's totally changed. These are counties that used to be swing counties and are now deep blue counties.
Yeah.
And so you have to ask why. And part of it is high density multifamily developments that come in where, look, somebody who buys an apartment or lives in an apartment is probably not a rock-ribbed Donald Trump supporter. Just demographically, probably not. They could be, but they're probably not. So when you do all that development and you bring that all in, you're bringing a type of voter that is just different than the conservative values we have. But here's the other thing I've noticed, especially in Elbert County, and Priscilla talked about this, and you have to know the details to get it. They go, well, if it abides by the master plan, I'm required to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it checks the boxes, I am required to vote yes. That's not necessarily true. And so what you get is this dispersion of development that takes place with no real overarching vision. So here's what's happening in Elbert County right now. You have these thousands of homes coming in right now.
Yeah.
And it looks like Aurora. Elizabeth is starting to look like Aurora.
And by looking by Aurora, what you mean are those track homes. The
Everywhere.
idea of where they come in.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
They can touch,
Yep.
I mean, thousands of homes.
Yep. And so what it is, and so they are, and just a listener, they're small plot, normally somewhat vertical, more narrow homes, and they all look exactly the same.
That's exactly right.
They just run, and it runs for an entire city block where everybody's front porch, everybody's front door, everybody's front lawn is the exact same, and everybody's front lawn is about 3 feet by 4 feet total. That's it.
Yep.
And you're lucky if you get a tree.
Yep.
That's
that is a great description of what happens. So you have those going up in huge developments out there in Elizabeth and Elbert County. And then you just get random McDonald's and like tire stores popping up.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Elizabeth's main street has vacant buildings And these are buildings that have been around since like the 1850s.
Wow.
So you get this kind of bizarre development that's happening all over the place with no real great vision of it. Okay. And you had these 1,000-acre ranches out there that people are dying and their kids don't want them. So who's going to buy a 1,000-acre ranch but a developer, right?
Yep.
And I understand that's the reality we live in. But then we would go sit in these county commissioner meetings, and it was like, you ever been a third wheel on a date?
Yes, I have.
And you're like, I just shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
There's no point. You all are falling in love with each other.
Yeah. You don't care what I have to say.
Right?
Yeah.
The county commissioners and the developers, man, they love each other. They really love each other. And they sit there and they just gaze in each other's eyes.
Yeah.
Because the county commissioners are all excited about the new tax revenue that's coming in.
Yep.
And guess who their campaigns were paid for by?
Yep. Exactly. The
developers.
Yep.
So it is, man, they are married at the hip. And us are going like, well, our roads can't handle this. Our schools can't handle this. By the way, you're just kind of letting these guys do whatever they want on the 1,000-acre ranch and develop it into the essentially new cities out there. And it doesn't fit with what Elbert County is. You know, this was a rural county. And it's great that way. We've got the Stampede coming up. We like that lifestyle, all this stuff. And you guys just seem to sit there and be so excited about the money coming in and the campaign contributions coming in and the actual people. So this is a really important point.
Yeah.
In the city of Elizabeth last year, they put forth a development plan.
Oh, okay.
County commissioners all approved it. There was an opt-out in the actual city of Elizabeth where they could take it to the voters.
Oh, wow.
Voters killed it.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Voters killed it. So look, we're all Republicans here, but this idea of just kind of jumping in with high density, multifamily development, letting all that go, do whatever you want on those big acres, develop that stuff. You have to understand it's contributing to the changing of this state, probably forever, as a blue state, and changing these communities forever.
Yeah, the thing for me is
that I don't like
is the weight that it puts on the community with that sort of large scale development, because the community then, you know, you're talking about water, utilities, you're talking about law enforcement and schools and education. Those large developers aren't paying to expand the school.
Right.
Those large developers are not covering the cost for the teachers. And it's already difficult to get teachers and keep them in rural counties. Guess what? You know how bad education is right now? Okay, we know that Jeffco, we know that Dougco, we know that DPS and APD are struggling to keep teachers that are having problems. So is Cherry Creek now.
Yep.
Cherry Creek is struggling to keep teachers. I have information that Cherry Creek has done an internal study, and they're finding the burnout is 50% faster than what has been traditional. And it's already been trending down. Burnout used to be about 25 years. Recently, when they were studying it, it was down around 10 to 15-ish. They're finding it in 5 to 7 years. And the problem they're having is that's really when a teacher starts to get into a rhythm. When you're a rookie and you just step on that court or that field as a rookie in sports, you're not, with very few exceptions, at a peak performance level. Then it takes you 3, 4, 5 seasons. In teaching, it takes you about 5 years to really understand the culture inside the school, to understand who you are as a teacher, and to realize what is effective, because you did a lot of book learning, but you haven't experienced the kids. And now you've had enough success and failure. And they're finding that in that window of 5 to 7 years, those teachers are burning out and they're leaving them and they can't keep them. And this is in one of the best paying school districts in the area, and they can't keep them. And part of it being density, lifestyle, cost of living, things like that. And if Cherry Creek is struggling to keep teachers, you guys are in a lot of trouble, especially when you're trying to hire more. You're going to have to either pay them significantly more or subsidize their housing or something, because you can't get them. And that's going to be a problem. So now your rural lifestyle, you're going to have classrooms with kids, 35 and 40 students.
Right.
You're going to have to, because you're not going to be able to find the teachers. But the developers don't care. They got their fat check. They've got their big bonus, and they got their yacht. They're
and the
fine.
metro districts, man, don't even get me started on metro districts,
Yeah,
where
you're
you're walking into a situation where your property taxes are so much more because of these metro districts, which takes all the risk off of the developers. Here's the bottom line. when you see a county commissioner and they have a lot of donations from developers, you better ask hard questions.
Yeah, you should. It's a good point.
Because the primary question, and this is why I asked Priscilla this, who are you working for?
Yeah.
Who are you working for? And if it's independent and you're going to serve the people, that's great. And she answered that way.
Yeah.
She said, look, I'm going to look at this on a case-by-case basis. But there's a lot of backroom deals going on.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had county commissioners who won't even return my phone calls.
And
won't even return because I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they don't like being called out on it.
Yeah, and you're a constituent. They should return the phone call. And the argument is going to be, yes, this development is nice for this, but how does it help the average voter? The person that already lives in that city, in that county, in that area right now, what is the direct benefit to all of this development? And you know me, the issue that I've got is that we're building apartments. And that's the real thing that I get mad about, because if you build condos, now you are allowing people to gain a little bit of equity, and you're allowing them to become larger homeowners. When you're building apartments, that's transitory. That is not a permanent solution. And you're not looking for someone that is permanently going to stay in that community. And I disagree with that. You're also not allowing them to get ahead. So you're forcing them to move out of the community in order to get ahead. It's transitory. It's crap. If you want to talk about the benefits of this and benefiting the community, then allow people to join the community.
Yeah.
Not just be part-time residents like apartments.
I've got a solution. We should take the entire I-25 corridor and make it high-density development like Jared Polis wants to. Just force Douglas County from the state to build high-density multifamily development.
As long as we went into condos, I could get with you on that because it would be close to light rail, et cetera. If that's what we're trying to do, if we want to push people out of their cars and we're saying, hey, we're going to let you build some equity in a condo, and then we've got this public transportation that can get you to and from jobs and other places, you might have something there. But again, then it's going to be this huge corridor with condos all the way around, which I don't know.
So out by where we are, you have these rural roads and these beautiful ranches all out in the Parker area. So think East Parker, that type of thing. Beautiful 5-10 acre ranches. And then you come over this hill to 400 homes, jam-packed, no grocery stores.
Wow.
No services whatsoever, no schools. Jeez. It's just weird and it's ugly. And it's just, I go, you guys did this because you just took a bunch of campaign contributions and it looks terrible.
The weird thing for me is the no school and no grocery store, because if I'm going to walk into that area and I'm looking at buying, where am I taking kids to school? Where am I going to, do I have to have a 25-minute drive to the grocery store?
5 metro districts piled on top of your taxes. It's stupid.
It is stupid.
All right. Speaking of rural Colorado, the good people, Colorado Farm Bureau, whether you pulled out your skis or snowmobiles this last winter, it was a great year for winter fun, but the snow means even more to Colorado agriculture. And I want you to know that our state's farmers and ranchers are doing their part to protect our future water resources. The people of Colorado agriculture continue improving the efficiency of their irrigation systems and adopting farming practices that help crops use less water to grow. They're planting drought-resistant varieties, and they're leading talks with state policymakers about how to preserve water supplies when we have good years like this last one. My friends at the Colorado Farm Bureau are leaders in water conservation and water policy. They understand how to balance water for crops and water for families, and they're doing more with less. You can do your part. I recommend you join and become a member today. Go to coloradofarmbureau.com. That's coloradofarmbureau.com to join them. All right, phone lines are open. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the 710KNUS app. Text messages coming in. Lori, teacher burnout has more to do with student behavior and lack of parent support than anything else. I'll get Bill's response on that. He's taking some phone calls right now. Jeff is dead on with high-density housing. Hence, I cringe at every new building in Denver shifts population away from suburbs and city folks. They become leftists. You guys are on point. And when Dougco turns blue, it'll be a perfect example. I mean, how else... How do you explain a 20-point shift? Growth is funded on the backs of existing taxpayers. Question, is growth good? Very good text message, 5631. I agree. All right, we'll get to your calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour in Brussels, I'm Alex Cadier. Here are the top stories we're following. Americans are bracing for even higher inflation pressures over the next few years and accelerating home price increases. In New York, Haley Bianco has more details.
The findings come from a new report by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The bank said in its latest survey of consumer expectations that respondents project inflation a year from now at 3.3% from March's 3%, while inflation 3 years from now is seen moderating to an expected 2.8% rise from the prior month's 2.9%. 5-year ahead inflation was seen at 2.8% versus March's 2.6%. In the survey, respondents also reported expecting high price pressures a year from now across all measured categories.
Israel has continued to press on with its military offensive in Rafah despite widespread international opposition and condemnation. Nearly 400,000 people have been forced to flee the city, many of whom had already been displaced from other parts of the Gaza Strip earlier in the war. Israel's military is also trying to recapture a part of northern Gaza from Hamas fighters, an operation which has involved some of the most intense fighting of the war. Israel's operation in Rafah has forced the main border crossing into Egypt to close, stopping the flow of much-needed humanitarian aid. Hamas, meanwhile, has targeted the Kerem Shalom crossing to Israel. And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Alex Cadier in Brussels on Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Let's go to the phone lines. Jim in Denver, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Jim.
Morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's a great program today. I was just going to mention part of what you're talking about is the water.
Yep.
Colorado is an arid state. You know what I mean? And most people that move here don't know that. But anyway, part of one of the developments you were talking about is Sterling Ranch, and I believe they built those with not an idea on the water, and they're trying to tap into Highlands Ranch water right now, and that has to be approved. And how can you develop without having a plan concerning water? I just, to me, that's just mind-boggling.
So,
but anyway, those county.
What I've noticed on the water, Jim, is, and I saw a document, at least from Elbert County recently, that attorneys are no longer guaranteeing 300 years of water for liability purposes. So they have actually now include in their documentation to county commissioners as to whether or not to vote. They now have a big, bold disclaimer at the end of the document that says we can no longer guarantee 300 years of water access for this development.
Well, I mean, the point is if you don't even have water when you're building it,
right? Then
how are you allowed to build it?
That's $1 million question, Jim, and I think you might do a better job than many county commissioners on this.
Yeah, you have all the money and you got the people in charge elected. Yes.
Well,
because we won't be here 300 years to deal with it. It's
right now.
Yeah, no, there's an old saying in Colorado that whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting, because if you want to be a successful lawyer in Colorado, go into water law. A lot of these developments rely on aquifers. And so they drill down into the ground to get this water. And then some of these aquifers are not replenishable. So once that water's gone, it's gone forever.
So I don't know if you recall this. So that was part of the issue when, Chatfield Estates are all out of the, they're out of the aquifer there.
Yep.
They don't have a tap into. So that was one of the reasons when we moved to turn of the century there, in 2000, we didn't move there because we were told at that time the wells are becoming dry.
Yep.
So, that was the whole reason why we didn't do it. And I just think it's crazy if people are they're building all these massive developments like, the estates out there west, Sterling Ranch. And if they don't have water, they shouldn't be allowed to be building that stuff. You should have your water locked in before you develop. I mean, that's not a law is crazy to me.
Well, maybe we'll get some county commissioners on to explain that. But Jim, the point being on a lot of these cases, the citizens have to be more engaged. I have sat in these Elbert County planning meetings. I have sat in these county commissioner meetings, and the negotiations, the work, the discussion took place with the developer long before that meeting takes place. They've already made up their mind. They're already voting, and and what it gets me at the end of the day, it's not really about development. It's what I hate about politics the most is when special interest groups have behind the door conversations and elected officials, people who have gone through the process to be elected, don't take into consideration the people that put them there.
Well, they're hoping you're not paying attention.
That is it. They do this at the state capitol every day. They do this in the county commissioner meetings, and it's going to take the citizens waking up, attending these meetings, asking tough questions like we did with Priscilla Rhan today to get to the bottom of this stuff. So, Jim, you're exactly right. I appreciate the call.
Thanks, man.
Jim's line will be open. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. When we come back, did you hear Jerry Seinfeld's commencement address? It was a good one. You probably just saw the media around people walking out. It was a small, tiny portion of people that did. He gave a great commencement address. We'll dive into it. You're not going to want to miss it. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
8 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. It is Tuesday, May 14th, and you have tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, center. Sometimes a little loony. It's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab your cup of coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up in just a second, we're going to play some clips from Jerry Seinfeld's commencement address at Duke University. It made a lot of news because some of the people walked out. But he had some good advice for those young people that I think is important to hear. So if you got a young person, make sure they stick around. Let's check in. Blake Olson's news. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Billy. 57 and mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting highs in the upper 70s today. The 710 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, Coloradans can now build accessory dwelling units on their property known as ADUs. Some call these casitas or mother-in-law flats. Governor Polis says this provides a space for other family members or helps homeowners with extra income. He also signed a new law that encourages communities to build housing near mass transit. Meanwhile, Priscilla Rhan, running for Douglas County Commissioner, believes in home ownership and wants to work with developers to make Dougco great for builders and buyers.
So that we can lower the cost, make sure that the process is swift, so we're not delaying, and the cost of materials are increasing. But also to say, hey, this is the culture of Douglas County. We like our land, our elbow room and space, and just have those conversations with developers.
Ron on with Jeff and Bill this morning. Out of the 10 most dangerous states in the country, Colorado is third. U.S. News and World Report says that's due to having the second highest property crime rate, especially car theft. As for violent crimes, those seem to be on average with the rest of the top 10 list. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston headed to Dublin, Ireland today, along with community and business leaders. It's an official visit.
Come on.
to show them our encampments are out. No, they're going to show you how to handle drug users, alcoholics, homeless, and illegal.
What?
It's
the hell
an
are they
official
going for?
Yeah, they're going there to
Dublin, Ireland.
Promote Denver and tourism.
Wait.
And there's
Wait.
the first nonstop flight from Dublin to Denver. So they're going to go do that.
The mayor had to do that. They couldn't send Denver's best talk show from Westwood. No, they couldn't do that. They couldn't do that. They wouldn't send us as ambassadors. No.
No.
I'm telling you this, that there isn't a single person in Dublin that's like, I'm at the Denver mayor. Obviously got to go there. Not a single person is going to make that decision today. This is crap.
We could have so much fun. Think about a live broadcast in a pub in Ireland.
Oh, we would make people want to come here. Come on. This is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
You know, he's got some reading time on that long flight. I wonder if he's gotten through our 13 demands.
Hopefully he's studying that. I'm sure. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, so they will return on Friday, first nonstop flight from Dublin to Denver. 10 protesters faced charges and Auraria campus placed on lockdown Monday after they occupied restricted space. Now, the University of Denver, they're warning Hamas supporters that they could be disciplined if they don't show IDs. The chancellor says only students, faculty, and staff can participate in protests and are required to show identification. They've had a homeless encampment there set up since last week. Former President Trump's fired lawyer Michael Cohen on the stand again today in the campaign derailment trial in New York City.
Finally, to put the nail on the coffin for Michael Cohen, how dare How dare you tape record a client? That is an ethical violation, and that is an attorney-client violation. And by the way, what you recorded is meaningless. It's not even a crime. You're stupid too.
You stupid too.
It's a little different than the interview we had with Chris Murray in the 6 o'clock hour.
Just a little different. I was thinking about that when I was recording that. So, yeah, a little difference of opinion, just a little bit. Judge Janine on Fox News Channel last night. 5-year-old Aurora Ray of Fort Collins has died of injuries she sustained in a swing accident. Last week, she was receiving care at Children's Hospital in Aurora until she died on Saturday. Money from a fundraising event held in Loveland for Ray's medical treatment will go toward the girls' celebration of life ceremony. The FBI and Department of Homeland Security issuing a warning about Pride Month. Officials say terrorists and their supporters may seek to target large I can't say this thing. LGBTQ. After what, 10 years of this, I still can't say it.
Just alphabet soup.
Yeah, the alphabet soup stuff. LGBTQ plus gatherings next month. Federal officials say there could be attempts to impersonate police or bypass security at events. Monday, the NHL suspended Avs forward Valery Nichushkin without pay for at least 6 months. He was previously in the player assistance program for anxiety, depression, and alcohol abuse. A few hours later, the Avs and Stars at Ball Arena Game 4, Western Conference semis last night.
Heiskanen, they are isolating through the zone. Johnson shoots and scores. The 20-year-old has his second of the night.
Wyatt Johnston scored twice, and Dallas leads the series 3-1 after the 5-1 victory. Nuggets try to up their lead 3-2 tonight. This should be interesting. The T-Wolves back in town in Lodo, and the Rockies, they have won 5 straight. Watch out. 5-4 over the Padres, 53 in Lafayette, 54 in Littleton, and 57 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast, it'll be fair to partly cloudy. Daytime temperature readings today will be climbing. Temperature readings today will be climbing into the mid to upper 70s with scattered showers and thunderstorms, a good bet, come late afternoon and evening. And we may have some overnight showers, mid to upper 40s. Cooler, scattered showers and thunderstorms, mid 60s and cloudy Wednesday. Lingering showers Wednesday night 40s. Highs near 70 Thursday with a late day shower, but warming back to the upper 70s to near 80 Friday and Saturday. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, Jerry Seinfeld giving the commencement address at Duke University over the weekend. Bill, do you remember your speaker at your commencement address? Were you sober?
Yeah, I was sober. I'm trying to think. This is dumb. I do not remember who it is, and this is phenomenally embarrassing because I was at the president's lunch with this speaker the day before. I was one of 5 students that were selected on the campus to have lunch with the commencement speaker the day before.
Why is that?
Yeah. Oddly enough, I was pretty good in school. Oddly enough. So, in fact,
like valedictorian?
Oh God, no, not like that. Just good representation and stuff with the school. Oddly enough, you know who was also at that lunch? Dana Perino. That's on Fox News.
Really?
Yeah, and former Bush. Yeah.
So where'd you guys graduate from?
Southern Colorado. Yeah, CSU Pueblo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
That's right.
we were in a lot.
Graduated
Yeah,
from CSU
we were in a lot of things together. In there, and in fact, there was one moment where
no dating. You never dated?
No, never did. No, I was dating my wife at the time, and
were you?
no interest.
Yeah.
I mean, there were no interest in her. I mean, we were friendly enough, but it just I don't know. Again, that would be a personal thing. That just no spark there. And the That was interesting. There was one, oh God, I don't remember what the guest was, but they were doing it on TV because at CSU Pueblo, the TV station that's on campus is the public television station for all of Southern Colorado. It's Channel 6. And so it's the entire southern part of the state gets the feed. So they were doing something, big guest coming in, and they came up and they pulled Dana and myself aside and said, listen, when it gets to the student question portion of this, you two are first up. They didn't tell us what to ask, but they said, we need this to look, they literally said that we need this to look good. You two were the first two questions. She was first and I was second. And they said, we just trust you guys to at least ask, not, hi, what's your favorite hamburger? So that was it. So I feel really bad. Yeah, I was at that president's lunch and I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, most people don't.
It's good food.
And of course, presidents eat well.
Yeah.
Universities.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, they could go kind of in one of three directions, right? Most notably is the just kind of forgotten ones. Right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who cares? Oh, there's my family. You could have the disastrous,
I always remember those.
Those ones. Yep, absolutely. And then you could have the pretty good ones. And I thought Jerry did a great job. And I wanted to bring this up because the media was all covering the protesters that walked out, the pro-Palestinians.
And the weird part, they made it sound like it was because of him. Not at all, really.
Well, he is Jewish.
Well, I know, but yeah. But like the impetus is if he had said something inside of there that's like, that is it. You will feel our wrath and we will now leave. But his speech didn't do anything like that.
No.
It wasn't political at all.
And in fact, it was right at the beginning. So they kind of walked out. But he had some good messages, especially for young people. Here's his opening.
I am here today at the gracious invitation of President Price and the Duke Board of Trustees because after spending 4 years at what is considered one of the finest institutions of higher education in the world, they apparently feel that perhaps some light entertainment will get you all to the final realization, I think I've really had enough of this place. Let's bring in a comedian. Let's bring the sophistication and erudition of the Duke experience down a couple notches. And I thought maybe that does make sense. Maybe the thinking was what we really want is to just get these kids the hell out of here. What would give them that last final push? Because what you might not be fully aware of is that the entire time you have been at this wonderful university, we have been meeting and talking to other kids that we would like to replace you with. Not because we weren't happy with you, not at all. You have been great. It's just, we wanted to see what's out there. I don't want to say exactly how many kids we talked to. It's roughly this many.
That's really
I thought
good.
that was so creative.
It's really nice. It's a great way to open.
Think about the brilliance of what he put together. I mean, you're at Duke University, which is generally considered the Harvard of the South, right? So this is an esteemed university. And he puts together an opening line that mocks himself, right? You have the self-deprecation. This is where I get into the brilliance of comedy, where you think about all the pieces they put together to make this funny and entertaining. You just listen and you think it was fun.
Yeah.
But no, there's like portions of it that carry you through it, that there's a lot of brilliance behind. So you have the self-deprecation. He insults all the students.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
And they all laugh.
Yeah, they all laugh.
And they all laugh. So he did it in a lighthearted way. And then he gets into the kind of truth. So Seinfeld's brilliance was in notifying or just kind of laughing about everything that we take for granted every single day, and just kind of the daily life that we live. And the reality is, yes, the university has spent the last 4 years replacing the very people that they're about to be in there, because universities are businesses. They may be nonprofit, but yes, they are definitely businesses. So that was his opening line.
Yeah.
So
that was good. That was good. The idea that, hey, we're just going to replace you guys. I mean, it was really neat. It was the idea that, hey, get out. And that I'm the one that pushed you out. It was well done.
This was a great line.
That's why everyone tries so hard to get in here. Duke actually is really good. The school is the square handicap button that opens the broadhead doors to your life.
That is so good.
How do you have a mind that thinks that way, that everybody gets exactly what they're talking about? So the idea that you hit the a little handicap door, and the doors open
it's
for
universal.
you.
Yeah.
And Duke has put you in this position because you've got this great degree that you're now just going to walk through life with this wonderful gifts.
I do that sometimes when I'm doing stuff on FM radio as far as how do I make this universal? Understanding that when I'm opening that microphone, I'm talking to people that are in different parts, not just of the country, the planet.
Yeah.
So what do you do? How do
you
you
come
make
up
that
with-
story? How do you make that thing universal? What's that identifier? There's a real talent to making it sound so easy. It's a real talent.
So here's the meat and potatoes of his speech.
I will give you my 3 real keys to life, no jokes in this part. Okay, they are, number 1, bust your ass. Number 2, pay attention. Number 3, fall in love. Number 1, you obviously already know whatever you're doing. I don't care if it's your job, your hobby, a relationship, getting a reservation at M Sushi, make an effort. Just pure, stupid, no real idea what I'm doing here effort. Effort always yields a positive value, even if the outcome of the effort is absolute failure of the desired result. This is a rule of life. Just swing the bat and pray is not a bad approach to a lot of things. Number 2, pay attention. If you're in a small submersible that looks like a giant kazoo and going to visit the Titanic, 7 miles down at the bottom of the ocean, and the captain of the vessel is using a Game Boy controller, pay attention to that. What are you checking out down there? Oh, I see what happened. This ship sank. Now I understand why it never made it into port. If the fish where you are have eyes like Shelley Duvall and a bendy straw with a work light hanging off their head, you do not belong there. If the fish are going, I can't see a goddamn thing, you won't either. Number 3, fall in love. It's easy to fall in love with people. I suggest falling in love with anything and everything every chance you get. Fall in love with your coffee, your sneakers, your blue zone parking space. I've had a lot of fun in life falling in love with stupid, meaningless physical objects. The object I love the most is the clear barrel Bic pen, $1.29 for a box of 10. I can fall in love with a car turn signal switch that has a nice feel to it, a pizza crust that collapses with just the right amount of pressure. I have truly spent my life focusing on the smallest things imaginable, completely oblivious to all the big issues of living. Find something where you love the good parts and don't mind the bad parts too much. The torture you're comfortable with. This is the golden path to victory in life. Work, exercise, relationships, they all have a solid component of pure torture, and they are all 1,000% worth it.
I love that closing line.
That's so cool.
I
It's
love
really
it.
cool.
So right before this, he goes off on the idea of following your dreams.
Yeah.
Don't. It's worthless. You know, the passion, all that stuff. You're going to run into life in any capacity, anything you do, especially if it's worth doing, that's torturous.
Yeah.
Getting married, having kids, having a career, all that stuff. So if you walk into life thinking, I've just got to find that thing that makes me eternally happy and is never torturous or painful or problematic, you're never going to find it. You end up broke.
Yeah. It always goes back to that line from Tom Hanks in League of Their Own. It said, it's hard. It's work. If it was easy, everybody'd do it. And that's what he's telling the baseball players. Right. It was so easy to be a professional baseball player. Everybody would do it. It's hard. And I understand. And Jeff, as you and I know here, everybody thinks I'll just get behind the microphone and run my mouth. This is not easy. There are some techniques to it, just like being an accountant is hard. Being a police officer is hard.
Being a
teacher is hard. Being a restaurant server is really, really hard. I've done it for years. So all of those things take effort if you need to succeed. And I love his idea about effort. Just swing the bat. The effort is what is needed because you will learn and be rewarded for the effort, even if it doesn't achieve the goal at the time. The effort will make it worth it eventually.
But this are conversations I have with my kids, right?
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
get I started a new job 3 months ago. How's the
Yeah.
job going? It's great.
Yeah.
Is it hard getting up at 4 a.m.? It's incredibly hard to
Very
get up
hard.
at 4 a.m.
Yes. Yeah, it's not as exciting as you think.
For 40 years of my life, 42 years of my life,
Yeah.
I went to bed at like 2 a.m. Even when I was a kid. My
Jeez.
parents would be like, you walked around in the middle of the night because you just were a night owl.
Yeah.
So I'm adjusting to it.
Yeah.
But you adjust to it, you do work. But I think it's important to send that to the next generation. I think it was one of the worst things that was told to my generation. Follow your dreams, follow your passions. Because what you got out, 18 years old, 22 years old, you get out of school and you just stop.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, well, what does it mean to follow? Well, you got to do something. You
Yeah.
got to get a job. You got to pay for your apartment. You got to pay for your health insurance. You got to pay for your food. So you got to have a plan to get where you want to go. It doesn't mean you
Yeah.
give up on your passions, what God created you for, but it's going to have moments that are hard. And he even says it like, find something that you're willing to love, that you're willing to push past the hard for.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this job.
And I think that that is some of the problem that the younger generations are encountering through social media is the people, because they are not in these people's lives all the time. They only see the presentation.
Right.
So they don't see the struggles of setting up the video, of the hours and hours of editing, of choosing the content, of all the takes that were left on the cutting room floor. They see the one perfect happiness for a minute and a half, and then that's it. And the next time that person shows up in their feed, they see another minute and a half of perfect happiness, not knowing the 8 hours of torture that had to be done in order to get there. I watch guys on video games that I play, and they do guides and tutorials and just fun stuff. And when they talk about the amount of hours it takes to produce the 5, 8, 12-minute video that you watch, it is unreal. But it's just this little bit of enjoyment. And you think, oh, I can make a video like that. No, it's really labor intensive in order to. And these are guys that are now, luckily enough, following their dreams where they're getting paid to play video games and video games they like. But is it hard? Yes. Is it torturous at times? Yes, absolutely.
So you know who Mr. Beast is, right?
Yes.
One of the most
yeah.
popular YouTube channels
dude's
ever.
amazing.
The guy gets asked all the time, how do I build my channel like you? How do I build my channel? He's like, I won't even answer your question until you have created 100 YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Until you, and then I want to see the first video and the 100th one. I want to see how you're progressing, but we're not even going to have this conversation until you've created 100 videos.
Yeah. Until you spent the time to understand what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. Because again, if it was easy, Jeff and I'd be influencers.
That's true.
That seems like a non-existent job.
Here's Jerry Seinfeld on privilege. This is where I think he had the greatest line.
Privilege is a word that has taken quite a beating lately. Privilege today seems to be the worst thing you can have. I would like to take a moment to defend it. Again, a lot of you are thinking, I can't believe they invited this guy. It's too late. I say, use your privilege. I grew up a Jewish boy from New York. That is a privilege if you want to be a comedian. Thanks. If I messed up a funny story around my relatives, they would go, that's not how you tell that joke. The prostitute has to be behind the drapes when the wife comes in. You went to Duke. That is an unbelievable privilege. I now have an honorary doctorate of humane letters degree from Duke University. And if I can figure out a way to use that, I will. I haven't figured anything out yet. I think it's pretty much as useful in real life as this outfit I'm wearing. But so what? I'll take it. My point is we're embarrassed about things we should be proud of and proud of things we should be embarrassed about. When I was writing my TV series...
That's the line. That is such a good line.
Thanks. What a crowd. So on my staff in the 90s, we had a lot of Harvard guys. They were fantastic, but I could never understand why these guys were so embarrassed about being from Harvard. They would never talk about it. They would never mention it. I'm not talking about Harvard now. I'm talking about the way it used to be. You're never going to believe this. Harvard used to be a great place to go to school. Now it's Duke.
That's a good line.
That's knowing your audience. That's really knowing your audience.
We are embarrassed by things we shouldn't be embarrassed about, and not embarrassed about things we should be embarrassed about.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's absolutely right. Of course, and he sees that more than most because of comedy, because of the idea of what you can and can't make jokes about, and what you can and can't be funny about. And I love his idea earlier when he's talking about falling in love with those little things. My wife, she teases me a lot of times because I have those really weird, like singular observations. And she's like, you notice things about rooms, about people, about this that nobody else does. And I make these little comments and just these, because it's always the little details around that I find so fascinating and so interesting. And so she's always talking about that. And
when
so
you're falling in love with stuff.
Yeah. And she does get mad at me about that. I'll fall in love to stupid little things. There are certain things that I fall in love with. And I'm like, I just like it. I just think it's cool. Yeah.
I think that was a great description of our culture.
Oh, yeah.
That is willing to celebrate things we should be embarrassed about, not celebrating and being embarrassed about things we shouldn't be about. Like starting a family. We're going to get into this in the 9 o'clock hour. We're not having enough babies.
No.
We're not having enough babies. You should celebrate people that are having the families, building their families. Instead, we, celebrate the exact opposite. Go get an OnlyFans account, and touch yourself on video and make a fortune and stuff like that. We're willing to embrace and celebrate what we should be embarrassed about. And we hide, we don't celebrate what we should.
Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
That was a passionate one for me. But I like that line. That was Jerry Seinfeld at Duke University. I've got two more I'll play for you in a second. But I want to talk to you about Gay Ribble. We had Gay in here the other day. She's a realtor with Empower Home Team. Wonderful lady, right? So first of all, a very kind, great smile, great personality. If you're going to work with somebody selling your house, you got all the stress that comes with that. You got all the questions. You got to do home inspections, all that stuff. Well, she's the one to work with on that. She's going to help you get through that. Secondly, she shares our values. She's pro-faith, pro-family, pro-America, and she gives proceeds to orphans in the state of Colorado to help them find their forever families. You may ask, why is that important? Well, for her, she was an orphan, and she found a family that raised her. So she wants to give back to that next generation that needs that help. Third, she's a professional, right? We all have family members that are real estate agents. We all have friends that are real estate agents. Here's somebody that can get their clients an average of $30,000 more. Why? Because she has 14,000 pre-approved buyers ready to go. I understand you get the family, the personal connections that pull you in to want to sell your house, but this is about a bottom dollar. This is about the bottom line. This is about providing for your family. You got to go with somebody that's going to get you an average of $30,000 more. Here's an unbeatable offer. Gay Ribble and the Empower Home Team will sell your house for 100% of the asking price, or Gay will pay you the difference. It's an offer you simply cannot refuse. Get 100% of your asking price guaranteed with Gay Ribble and the Empower Home Team. Reach out to my friends and realtors today. Give them a call, 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD, or go to gayhasthebuyers.com. That's GAYE hasthebuyers.com. All right, we'll continue. Jerry Seinfeld, you're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
At this hour in Brussels, I'm Alex Cadier. Here are the top stories we're following. Salvage crews in Baltimore have conducted a controlled explosion of what remains of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. The blast will allow workers to clear the bow of a massive container ship which crashed into the bridge back in March. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says it can now use cranes to haul individual portions of the bridge away. While partial access to the Port of Baltimore, one of the U.S.'s largest, has been restored, the Corps says full access will be restored by the end of May. It's been revealed that the United States and Taiwan took part in secret naval drills in the Pacific Ocean back in April. It's the latest example of the two countries expanding their military cooperation. Laura Westbrook reports from Hong Kong.
The Reuters report said these drills took place last month, and it said these drills were called unplanned sea encounters, and that's so both sides could claim it was a coincidence that they held these drills at the same time at the same place. It said they involved around half a dozen Navy ships from both sides, and that was so the militaries from both countries could better cooperate in an emergency. Now, Beijing has said that it strongly opposes any military collusion between the United States and Taiwan, and the timing of this is interesting. It comes less than a week than the new Taiwanese president, William Lai, is inaugurated.
And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Alex Cadier in Brussels on Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking Jerry Seinfeld's commencement address. You saw some of the news about protesters walking out, pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist protesters walking out. I don't know if they were just making a statement in support of Hamas or if they were protesting that Duke had Jewish commencement speakers. Probably both, but he gave a really great speech. We covered the first part of it, but this is the importance of humor, which we are absolutely losing in this culture.
Regarding humor, I'm going to try and reach across a couple generations here to tell you the most important thing I am confident that I know about life. I'm 70. I'm done. You are just starting. I only want to help you. The slightly uncomfortable feeling of awkward humor is okay. It's not something you need to fix. I totally admire the ambitions of your generation to create a more just and inclusive society. I think it is also wonderful that you care so much about not hurting other people's feelings in the 1,000,001 ways we all do that every second of every day. It's lovely to want to fix those things, but, all caps, but, what I need to tell you as a comedian, do not lose your sense of humor. You can have no idea at this point in your life how much you are going to need it to get through. Not enough of life makes sense for you to be able to survive it without humor. And I know all of you here are going to use all of your brains and muscle and soul to improve the world, and I know you're going to do a bang-up job. And when you're done, as I am now, I bet the world, because of you, will be a much better place. But it will still not make a whole hell of a lot of sense. It'll be a better, different, but still pretty insane mess. And it is worth the sacrifice of an occasional discomfort to have some laughs. Don't lose that. Even if it's at the cost of occasional hard feelings, it's okay. You gotta laugh. That is the one thing at the end of your life you will not wish you did less of. Humor is the most powerful, most survival, essential quality you will ever have or need to navigate through the human experience.
What do you think of that, Bill?
Oh, it's great. Humor is needed. It's you have to be able to laugh. It's one of the things that I borrow from. I think it's either Dennis Leary or Ron White that I tell my kids all the time. Life's hard. Get a helmet. It is. It's about struggle and disappointment. The moments of joy. It's, in fact, I use the analogy of sports with my kids a lot as well, especially soccer, and say that soccer is a lot like life, that it is struggle, it is difficult, and you have these fleeting moments of joy where you lose your mind. You're graduating, your kids are born, you get married, you see all these things, you lose your mind and you do this goal celebration over the corner. But the majority of the time, it's a grind. It's getting that ball up the field. It's trying to score and being denied. It's missing the shot. It's missing the ball, not being there for the right pass over and over and over again. And then joy. That's basically what it is. And you've got to be able to laugh and find the humor in those moments. Otherwise, it'll grind you down. If you can't turn around and find those little bits of the funny that happen every day in life, oh, absolutely. As a parent, you know this as a parent. If you can't find the humor in the first 3 years of that kid's life, you're leaving the kids in the woods. At least that's what I would have done.
Why do you think the next generation is losing this?
Well, I don't think they're losing it.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think they're taking stuff too politically, making everything political?
I don't, because the young people that I see don't always filter everything through politics. However, I do think right now the younger generation, they are more open and accepting than any other generation we've had before. However, they're still going through that purity of life where they're assuming that everything is going to be good and fair, and it just isn't. And that's part of the humor that is contained within life, are those things that you encounter that are simply not fair that you have to laugh about. You have to have the ability to laugh about and not get and take them too personally and too seriously. Also, comedy's changed. If you looked at what Don Rickles did, he can't do that today.
Yeah.
Cat Williams, in some ways, begins to be out of bounds. Dave Chappelle is dealing with it, but that's because comedy has always evolved. Amos and Andy used to do comedy in blackface, and can't do that one anymore. Some of the stuff that, some of the jokes based on the Jewish religion that Sammy Davis Jr. told, people would go, whoa, today, when they were perfectly fine back then. Comedy does evolve.
What does comedy look like today? I'm trying to think.
I mean, it depends on who you're looking
at. In my world, it's Bill Burr, it's Dave Chappelle, it's Jerry Seinfeld, and you could tell. So you could, if you're getting a sense during this segment, I really enjoy comedies because my dad was a stand-up comedian, my brother is a stand-up comedian, and so I appreciate the art of it.
Yeah,
I think to walk up on stage in front of a whole bunch of people and carry them through an hour and a half of laughter and joy, and you've taken them away from all the pain that they're dealing with. When you have that ability, you're a genius. I think I think it's genius level.
And it is because it's escapism as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know who's the next generation though. All
I'd
right,
have to go back and I'd have to go back and look. I mean, there are some younger ones like Brad Williams is one who's younger that's really good, but he's great because also he's a little person. He's a dwarf.
Does he do the fun size stuff?
He does some of that, yeah.
Yeah.
He does some of that. I saw him live here last year, and one of the best jokes that he did is he talked about how, here in Colorado, not a big deal if you get like 2, 3, 4 feet. He goes, you get 4 feet of Colorado snow here. He goes, I'm in danger. I could die. And he talks about how he's going to have to get one of those soccer flags or one of the golf flags and put it on his back so you can see him. He's just walking through the snow so you can find him. Yeah, he also talked about the fact that how it was nice that he was wearing his big boy shoes today because he's so short and small that he can shop in the kids department. He goes, so it's really hard for me to not find shoes that blink and flash when I walk around. But he's really good. And I have to go back and look at some of the younger ones.
I do think there's a problem. So this next generation has been so warped into this kind of Marxist worldview that everything is oppressor versus oppressed. They can't joke about it. They're offended. I feel like they're constantly offended by everything.
And I would disagree because humor is about breaking those rules. And again, like Jerry talks about, making you uncomfortable. Really good humor should have a degree of uncomfortableness inside of it, not offensive.
I agree.
But it should, because it should be challenging. Yeah,
right.
Because it should be challenging.
But some of these guys can't even have shows on college campuses anymore because people get so offended about a bit they used to do and all that stuff.
Again, that is the purity of youth. Remember when you had stars in your eyes, when you were young and you still thought the world was going to be fair and take care of you and everyone was going to love you. Remember those days? Those days were great. Those days were fantastic. But that's exactly where they are. I just had a conversation, and I won't recount it because it's going to go on too long, just in the last 48 hours about something that I brought home from my mom and dad's house that means something to me. But the kids say, no. If my friends and stuff come over here, they're going to draw the wrong conclusion. And I got upset and sad. And they're like, I'm not trying to make it. And I'm like, listen, I go, what I'm upset about is that, I'm looking at changing my behavior because your friends are going to be prejudiced. And they went, what? And I went, hang on. They're going to walk in and see X. And you're telling me they're going to jump to a conclusion, regardless of not the information, regardless of why it's there, what it means, how it came to be. None of that enters into their judgment or their mind. They immediately come to a conclusion. And I said, and that is one of the things that I try every day to fight against. Prejudice, that idea that I'm going to prejudge you as an individual based on something else I see or hear. And that pisses me off, I said, that your friends would walk into this home and prejudge anything about our family, knowing you just based on a single item.
Know what it is.
I know. I'll tell you in the break.
All right. Want to talk to you about American financing, guys. Despite everything the Fed has been trying, we're still feeling the effects of inflation. Filling up your car, grocery shopping, home repairs, everything is more expensive. And most of you are paying these bills with a credit card. You got to get out of that credit card debt. It's at an all-time high, 22% average interest. Oh, that's just painful. You're basically giving your hard-earned money to other people. If you're a homeowner, there's a way out. You need to call my friends at American Financing. They can put together a plan to pay off that high-interest credit card debt and create meaningful savings for you every month. They're saving people just like you an average of $854 a month and closing in as fast as 10 days. Don't wait. Get yourself into a better position. Call their salary-based mortgage consultants today. It costs nothing to get started. And if you start today, you can delay 2 mortgage payments, giving you greater savings up front. American Financing can help get that monkey off your back. American Financing, 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000. AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334 consumeraccess.org. Here's Jerry's closing. If you're going to say one thing to young people, what are you going to say? This is Jerry Seinfeld.
The one thing I really do care about communicating to you is don't lose your humor. Forget the rest. Forget your education, your degree, your privilege. All of you here would do fantastically well without any of it. All of you here, without question, are the best of the best. Just don't lose your humor. It's not an accessory. It's your Stanley Cup water bottle on the brutal long hike of life. And humor is not just for the stress relief or even just the simple fun of laughing, but for the true perspective of the silliness of all humans and all existence. That's why you don't want to lose it. Try to enjoy some of the dumbness of it all. That's the best life advice I can give you. I wish you luck. I wish you love. Thanks for the phony degree and the ridiculous outfit. Go get him, Duke class of 24. Throw the hat up. Let's get out of here. Congratulations.
Jerry Seinfeld, Duke commencement address. And here's why I wanted to also do this.
Yeah.
I understand we have serious issues in this city. We talk about it every single day.
Yeah.
4 hours a day. In this city of Denver, in the state of Colorado, we're the third most dangerous state in the country right now. We have huge issues: illegal immigration, homelessness, drug use, crime, failing schools, tax issues. There's so much for conservatives to be down about in this state. We have no electoral power whatsoever in the state. It is forced upon us. You can't make a difference, and it just stinks.
Yep.
You got to find ways to laugh in the midst of this, to laugh at the absurdity of it, to laugh at the fact that our mayor today got on an airplane and is flying to Dublin instead of actually solving the city's problems. It's a coping mechanism. Yes. But for those of us that aren't going to move, and I'm not moving, my family's here, my parents are here, I'm staying here. You got to look at the absurdity of it all, the dumbness of it all, like Jerry Seinfeld just said, and laugh about it.
Yeah, you do. You need to have a little laughter each and every day. It breaks the tension. It's those little jokes. And you have to find the humor in life because it is so difficult. Everyone that's listening knows that it is really, really hard. And you need to find those moments of joy, even if they are little inside of the day, just to make it better. Because as he talks about in his speech, is that nobody comes to the end of their life and goes, I laugh too much. It's always you want to laugh more. So lean into it. Laugh.
There you go. Enjoy the family. Enjoy your friends. Enjoy the community. Enjoy the absurdity.
Yes.
We have too high of a suicide rate in the state, and laugh a little bit might help. All right. I want to talk to you about UltraCur. We all want a kinder, gentler way to experience wellness and to overcome pain. I'm thriving and fighting back my workout soreness with UltraCur. UltraCur is a patented non-prescription natural capsule that works fast. Surveys show that 50% of people using UltraCur find relief within 48 hours and half of those within 2 hours. Friends, as you get older, movement is critical. You got to keep those joints greased up, moving. You got to keep your muscles strong. It matters more as you get older. And if you've got some pain, try UltraCur. It's a patented technology to give you the true edge to support your peak wellness, energy, and active lifestyle. It's a natural curcumin product. You can get a free 3-day trial. All you have to do is go to any Denver Metro Natural Grocers and ask for the health coach or the vitamin manager for your free 3-day UltraCur trial, right? You try that other stuff, they got to make you pay for it. This will give you a free 3-day trial. Get curious, Denver. Head to the Natural Grocers, grab your free 3-day UltraCur trial, no strings attached. If you're wondering about the research, get the lowdown at getultranow.com. That's getultranow.com. All right, when we come back, there's a poll coming out, big one. New York Times reporting on Trump leads in 5 key states as young and non-white voters express discontent with Biden. We'll get into this and more. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. A new set of Times Siena polls, including one with the Philadelphia Inquirer, reveal an erosion of support for the president among young and non-white voters upset about the economy and Gaza. Donald J. Trump leads President Biden in 5 crucial battleground states, a new set of polls shows, as a yearning for change and discontent over the economy and the war in Gaza among young, Black, and Hispanic voters threaten to unravel the president's Democrat coalition. Surveys by the New York Times, Siena College, and the Philadelphia Inquirer found that Mr. Trump was ahead among registered voters in a head-to-head matchup against Mr. Biden in 5 of 6 key states: Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Pennsylvania. Mr. Biden led among registered voters in only one battleground state, Wisconsin. Bill, you're sitting in the Biden campaign office headquarters. That poll comes in. What do you do?
You are somewhat worried about it. I would look at targeted where it is, but I still say the polls are off. There's something wonky about them. And this is
14 points on that.
Well, it's just there's something off because of what the responses we're seeing, the divergence, and some of the results that we've seen inside of primaries. There's something off that I can't put my finger on. I don't know what the solution is. The weird part for me, though, also is I kept hearing about in the ramp up to the 2016 election and the 2020 that polls are liars. We can't believe polls. And now all of a sudden, those same people that told me the polls can't be believed are turning around and now going,
on both sides. Whenever it goes their way, they're like this.
Absolutely. But there was a real concerted, the polls are liars, Donald Trump's going to beat Biden in 2020. There was a complete narrative of the discounting of those polls. And so I just find it interesting that same ecosystem and those same media personalities are now coming out going, have you seen the polls? Have you seen the polls? Wait a minute. I remember what you were doing 4 years ago, guys.
What do you think about the idea that this may be an effort by the left to finally try to push Biden out?
Again, that would be stupid. Phenomenally stupid. Because
who do you replace him with?
Well, the idea is how, not the who.
Well, he would
I know.
say he's not going to run, and
I know that, but
put his delegate somebody else.
I know, and this is what I keep telling you though. If for whatever reason the party powerfuls during the Republican National Convention said Donald Trump is no longer our nominee for whatever reason, he could step down, he could be shot, he could just get sick, whatever it is, and they come in and say our nominee is X, is the entire room going to stand up and applaud? No, they're going to yell and scream. And that's my thing. This assumption that the Democrats will just go, no, okay, fine. What? No. The idea that it is so easier to place them on the Democrat side, no. They can't do it because their voters won't allow them.
When we come back at the 9 o'clock hour, I've got some chip to eat that Bill got me. He's hanging it in a baggie. So I'm going to go on a trip. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Wait till you hear what we're going to eat. News Talk 710 KNUS.
9 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS. It is Tuesday, May 14th. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, center, and sometimes a little crazy. It's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab your coffee, Denver. Let's dive into those issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up just after Blake Olson's news, Bill has handed me two chips in a bag.
Yes. You should have three in there.
Or three.
Yeah.
And I'm violating everything I was ever told about taking food from strangers and
there's no one stranger than me.
food and you are very strange. So we're gonna try these in
and then
just a minute.
We're hoping newsman Tom Mueller into this too. We're getting him into this involved. So Tom is going to make a rare appearance on the show post Blake Olson's news.
That's because Mark Crowley is running.
Yes, and we are going to challenge our taste buds. This was a bag of chips that I saw on the shelf and went, "Oh, you've got to be freaking kidding me! There's no way this is yeah." And it fulfilled all of my low expectations. This is going to be fun.
All right. We'll try it in just a second. Let's check in. Blake Olson's news. Good morning, Blake.
All right. I can't wait to hear that, Billy. That's awesome. Thank you, Jeff. 62 and mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting highs in the upper 70s today. The 710 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, former President Trump's show trial continues in New York. Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, on the stand, and no one in America cares. What they care about is the economy and how much food costs. Steve Forbes knows it and knows President Biden lies about rates.
And he tries to make people believe the inflation rate was high when he took office. It was 1.5%. It reached a peak of 9%. And if you include interest payments, which people have to make on mortgages, on car purchases, on credit card borrowings, the real price of cost of living went up 18% and still going up at a 7 or 8% rate today. That's why his ratings on the economy are in the tank.
On CNN, Fareed Zakaria, it's desperation time for Biden.
I understand that polls are not always accurate, but in general, they have tended to underestimate Donald Trump's support, not overestimate it. Trend lines are not working in Biden's favor. He needs to do something bold and dramatic.
like become a proud American conservative, maybe. And then there's Bill Maher on CBS talking about wanting Trump on his show.
He knows he has an open invitation to come on, but I don't think he really hates me, because I think the amount of times that he goes after me.
He watches the show.
Accidentally. It's always accidentally.
Yes, because he owns you. He's always right and you're always wrong.
Lives in your brain rent free.
Yes.
Always. Like a worm.
And they never apologize. They never say they're wrong. You're going to love this one. 10 protesters face charges and Auraria campus placed on lockdown Monday after they occupied restricted space. The University of Denver warning Hamas supporters that they could be disciplined if they don't show IDs. Imagine that. The chancellor is not going to take it much longer, but Jojo Carranza thinks he's really smart.
Protests are inherently against protocols. If they were within the institution's rules and protocols, they wouldn't really be protests.
Oh, what a great point, Jojo. Could you imagine Jojo with Hamas for 1 hour, let alone 30 minutes? Let me hear Jojo again.
Protests are inherently against protocols. If they were within the institution's rules and protocols, they wouldn't really be protests.
Man.
Gosh. I'm so glad these people are getting degrees. Those degrees are going to be worth so much.
Go back to Starbucks and work. Coloradans can now build accessory dwelling units on their property known as ADUs. Governor Polis says this provides a space for other family members or helps the homeowners with extra income. He also signed a new law that encourages communities to build housing near mass transit. Meanwhile, Priscilla Rhan, running for Douglas County Commissioner, believes in home ownership and wants to work with builders in Dougco.
So that we can lower the cost, make sure that the process is swift, so we're not delaying, and the cost of materials are increasing. But also to say, hey, this is the culture of Douglas County. We like our land, our elbow room and space, and just have those conversations with developers.
Ron on with Jeff and Bill this morning. Colorado is the third most dangerous state in the country, according to U.S. News and World Report, and that's due to having the second highest property crime rate, especially car theft. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston, who's had his car ripped off, I think, a couple of times, heading to Dublin, Ireland, along with community and business leaders to promote the city to Irish businesses and tourists. They'll return Friday on the first nonstop flight from Dublin to Denver.
Haskinen, they are isolating through the zone. Johnson shoots and scores. The 20-year-old has his second of the night.
Wyatt Johnston scored twice, and Dallas leads the series against the Avalanche after last night's game, 3-1. A 5-1 victory. This was 2 hours after the NHL suspended Avs forward Valery Nichushkin without pay for at least 6 months. He was previously in the player assistance program for anxiety, depression, and alcohol abuse. The Nuggets try to up their lead in their series with the T-Wolves tonight, 3-2 in Lodo at Ball Arena. The Rockies have won 5 straight, 5-4 over the Padres. 60 in Louisville, 59 in Inglewood, 62 in Denver. Jeff and Bill continue. They're going to try some chips, I guess. Blake Olson, News Talk 710, KNUS.
The 7-10 5-day forecast, it'll be fair to partly cloudy. Daytime temperature readings today will be climbing into the mid to upper 70s with scattered showers and thunderstorms, a good bet, come late afternoon and evening. And we may have some overnight showers, mid to upper 40s. Cooler, scattered showers and thunderstorms, mid 60s and cloudy Wednesday. Lingering showers Wednesday night 40s, highs near 70 Thursday with a late day shower, but warming back to the upper 70s to near 80 Friday and Saturday. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, Bill, take it away here. What are we doing?
All righty. Now, what we've got here is everybody involved in this portion of the broadcast, Jeff, Tom Mueller from our newsroom, and myself have a small little sandwich baggie that is filled with 3 chips. Recently, when I was perusing the aisle of a local grocery store, I saw a bag that stood out from the rest. This was a bag of a well-known chip brand, but something was wrong. This is an odd flavor, something crazy.
It looks like a Dorito.
Had to share. Yes,
it looks like a Dorito.
This is Doritos. So now, gentlemen, Mr. Mueller, Mr. Hunt, please open your bag, grab your delicious Dorito chip.
Smells like a Dorito. It doesn't smell anything
and
different.
please bite into it.
Is this a gag? Is something going to explode?
Well, only if we're lucky, but go ahead and
all right.
Try. Okay. Okay, now I gotta wait till Tom gets it in his mouth.
Wait a minute.
What?
He's working with it.
Wait a minute.
I know.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I got it. See, Tom's struggling with the baggie. I should have pre-opened his. Okay.
Here we go.
Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Let that taste linger there. Let it feel it. And again, my advanced apologies. I'm sorry about this, that I'm doing this to you guys.
Well, it tastes good. It's not bad.
Good? What?
Mm-hmm.
You thought this was good?
Little tangy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, tangy. What do you taste? Now, here's a hint. Can you taste the dominant flavor? Would it help if, would you guess? What would you guess?
So to me, it tastes like a tangerine or those little ones.
Clementines.
Clementines.
You're in the region, sir. What about you, Tom? Think fruit.
What seemed jalapeno.
Yeah, there's a little fire in there.
A little fire, and That rose to the occasion.
Yeah.
There.
So what it does now, what happens is you taste it, and there's a very sweet forward flavor that obviously is a fruit that comes in and dominates the entire flavor experience.
Right.
And then later on, it comes in and there's a little bit of a burn that picks up on the side of your
That's
tongue.
exactly
that
right.
then fills in later on and kind of rolls over the top. So the finish is a little bit of the sweet with the spicy at the same time. And neither of those are pleasant. They're not together, not at all. Yeah.
I like it.
Really? There's something wrong with you.
It's got it continues in the mouth. I'll tell you that.
It does. And it's got this lingering aftertaste, which almost prompts you to want to bite another one because you're trying to balance out the flavors.
I've already eaten all three of mine.
Oh my God.
They're good.
Now, here's what.
I just took my second bite and my mouth is now numbing up.
Yeah.
And I can't think. I can't feel the extremities of my feet.
You would be surprised how often we get that as a comment from listeners after listening to the show.
I can't think. What just happened for those 4 hours?
My brain hurts. Yeah. So as we are eating these, gentlemen, this is what we have just had the delightful experience with. This is a special edition of Doritos. They have teamed up with Mountain Dew to celebrate the 20th year of the Baja Blast experience. This is their soda-inspired chip flavor called Baja Fiery Mango, which sounds like a crime against nature. And so it is. It's supposed to be spice-packed and tangy at the same time. And now it is a little adjacent to the traditional Mountain Dew flavor, but they lean heavily into that fake mango taste. So yeah, it starts off with a heavy dose of mango, and then the finish off at the tail end, a little bit of spice. And the nice touch they've done is there's just enough spice to make you want to do either one of two things, one of three things. Have a glass of water, have another chip, or shave your tongue because it tastes so bad. One of the three things has to be done.
It felt like Joey in Friends when Rachel makes the dessert, nobody likes it. He's like, I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Give me the whole bag, man. I'll dive into that.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you like that. It's just that's one of the things is I see new stuff like that. I have to buy 1, 2 of them. I can't.
Give it a try.
I'm wired that way. I am the soon as I see the brand new package, the new whatever the hell it is, I go and I buy that. And sometimes it works out well in the household. Sometimes not so much. Yeah.
Tom, you still eating the spicy food?
Still am.
You like spicy food?
I do like it.
Yeah. You go to San Diego,
well,
right near Tijuana.
Yeah, right.
Excellent. Well,
I like it. What's the name of it again?
They are the Doritos. They are the Baja Fiery Mango.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. Right. And here's the thing: is I'll pull my phone here. Hang on. And I will share this with those that are nice enough to join us on the videos. It's a ridiculous, bright, almost sea blue Doritos bag. Has a shark jumping out of the bottom, and he's taken off part of the big Dorito triangle, and then it says Baja Fiery Mango on the right hand side of the package. And I'm gonna show that to the people also on the videos if I can angle that. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
There's mixed feedback on Reddit. Some people really like it, some don't. So it kind of reflects the discussion in here. You don't like it, Bill.
I think it is a crime against nature.
So
I'm like, what is wrong with the people that put these flavors together and who harmed them in life? They need therapy and a lot of it.
Have you had those jelly beans, vomit flavored jelly beans, dirt flavored snot,
See,
all that stuff?
You have you don't know me well enough.
I just dropped mine on the floor,
and
I'm going to eat it anyway
oh my God,
because I know it will destroy any kind of.
That is true. It absolutely will. Yeah, those are the Birdie Box beans by Jelly Belly.
Yeah.
We do challenges at home where we will mix the two of them together. And so then now, good luck picking one out of the jelly bean bowl. Yeah. The other one that we would do when the kids are younger.
Is that what the kids are judging you for when they come over to your house? When we were talking about earlier segment about it.
We'll talk about that elsewhere. The other one that we'll do in the house is we'll get several different kinds of, the same chip, but different, the different varieties of spice. Like you do a Cool Ranch Dorito, you do regular Doritos, and you do like the super hot Doritos. Mix them all in the bowl, and then you sit around the table. And one person has to close their eyes, and they randomly pick, and then you get to eat the chip, and everybody else watches, and then you spin the bowl, and again, we do all sorts of stupid, silly things like that in the house. The jelly beans mixing the two things together
taste
fantastic.
Like it.
Oh yeah,
and then the big discussion in our house was like with vomit tasting jelly beans. Who had to sit there and perfect the flavor?
Yes, who had to sit there and go,
it is awful.
Oh, it's horrible.
It tastes like vomit.
Yeah, that like earwax and the grass clippings are all horrible. Yeah, they are atrocious.
They must have gotten paid a fortune to
Yeah,
do that.
I know. Oh, and they're depressed now. You know what's happening. All right. Thanks for playing along, guys. I'm going to go wander down the hall real quick, and I'm going to give this chip to Lou, our videographer today, so that I saved one for him so that he can enjoy
try
this
it
as well. Yeah,
Tom,
I'll be right back.
Thanks for being on the program.
Thank you for joining. For
How
letting
long
me
have you
join
been
you.
with KNUS, Tom?
15 or 16 years.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, with Salem here.
In Salem here, and then you do the news on KRKS, right?
No, I'm the morning host.
Morning host.
Yeah,
Morning
I'm out of the news business.
Morning host on KRKS 94.7?
94.7. I use the news studio because I see that Blake is, in another high quality studio somewhere. So I use that, but I'm the morning host of the FM.
When'd you get into radio?
1962.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what is your morning show like?
I introduce the teaching features on the Christian station, their teaching programs. So I introduce them. I tell what they're going to be talking about. I give the weather. Hopefully, I say something clever. And if I don't, it lays there like a bomb, and I go on. And then it goes into the next teaching program, and I come back half an hour later.
So teaching like Charles Stanley and
Charles Stanley, Chuck Swindoll, Focus on the Family.
So all that good teaching's 94.7. It's a sister station of ours here. So I listen to that regularly. It's great teaching. Gets you inspired for the day.
Yeah.
And they're not long. It's not like a 2-hour teaching. They're clips. They're like 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So good way to start your day, especially if you're a Bible believing Christian or you're interested in the faith. 30-minute teaching get you ready to go.
You got Adventures in Odyssey. It's a great show.
Yeah.
It's such a good show for kids.
Adventures in Odyssey on 94.7.
Yeah.
That's
Such
great.
A good show. Such a great program.
Tom, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Don't hold it against me.
All right. So if you ate some chips and you're not feeling right and it hurts your back as a result of it, you got to go check out QC Kinetics. Are you tired of living with the constant back pain robbing you of the joy in your life? You're not alone. Back pain affects millions, impacting the quality of life. But there's hope. My friends at QC Kinetics Denver offer regenerative medical treatments that are non-surgical, drug-free solutions. As we age, lower back pain becomes common. Muscle strain to herniated discs, symptoms like muscle aches and shooting pain can worsen with movement. And as you all know, as you get older, movement is key. It's what keeps you to live that long life and then have an enjoyable life. When you start to get sedentary and those joints really start to stop moving, when you're not building that muscle mass, that's when life really starts to go downhill. Why risk surgery when there's a safer option? With no downtime and a free consultation, QC Kinetics often provides same-day treatment. Visit my friends at QC Kinetics and revolutionize your approach to lower back pain. Call 303-900-8986 or visit painfreecolorado.com to schedule your free consultation. Be sure to tell them Jeff sent you. painfreecolorado.com, 303-900-8986. Big piece in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend. Suddenly, there aren't enough babies. The whole world is alarmed. Birth rates are falling fast across countries with economic, social, and geopolitical consequences. The world is at a startling demographic milestone. Sometime soon, the global fertility rate will drop below the point needed to keep population constant. And it may have already happened. Fertility is falling almost everywhere for women across all levels of income, education, and labor force participation. The falling birth rates comes with huge implications for the way people live, how economies grow, and the standings of the world's superpowers. They've got a graphs that dive into this. Demographics are supposed to be slow-moving force, but the baby bust is happening so quickly, so widely, that it's taken many to surprise. But bottom line, in this long article, about 30 minutes it takes you to read, they don't have much of an answer for it.
No. And that's why I am now going to talk in my Barry White voice all the time. We're going to up the sexy. Nah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Think about you. You and I are a bit of outliers in our generations. Do you have many friends?
Outliers.
Do you have many friends that have 4 kids?
No. In fact, it is shocking. Normally, when I tell people that I've got 4 kids, especially younger people, they look at me as if I just said, and I have a 3rd arm that spurts out of my back. They look at me as if I'm some sort of like freak of nature. And I've even had some other cultures, people that have immigrated here, look, and once they hear that we have 4 kids, look and go, you got to be really rich. The idea, because their perception is the affordability. The idea being, because where they are and what they're doing and struggling by, I'm like, not even close. Not even close.
Right.
Yeah. But that was their perception.
Why'd you guys have 4?
Because it's a lot of fun.
Is it the Catholic?
Kids. Yeah, the thing is, Catholic. It's just we had 4 just because we had 4. We are well aware of how the bebes are made, and I should not say that out loud. No. Oh boy, no, it wasn't against her. It was just. No, it's just okay. I mean, it was just making the babies is a lot of fun. I mean, it's and we always wanted a larger family. We weren't necessarily planning on 4, but we weren't planning on not, because we weren't taking steps to not have the babies.
Yeah.
So if God gifted us with this many, yes, and He blessed us, and it was the 4th one, Gwen, was a real surprise. But again, we were not trying not to. We were letting nature, but that was one that was like, wow, okay. We were not actually planning on having another. We were not saying yes, but we weren't saying, no, we're not going to take, there's no birth control or anything else involved. And we were still having regular marital relations. And so, yeah, it's expected. Absolutely. And she has been an enormous gift. In fact, I can't imagine having that family or the experience of growing up without one of them, because what happened was, because of the large spread in ages, there's almost 10 years between the oldest and youngest.
Right.
Yeah. And so if you go between all the relationships, the siblings have someone that is, significantly further away from them, someone that is like 2 years away from them, someone that is 4 years away, someone that's 5. And so they have these varying relationships with siblings that, you talk about, well, my brother, we were all on top of each other all the time. And it was always this fighting, but my sibling, the kids don't have all the same conflicts because of the age spread. And it's very different because of that. And it has been remarkable growing up. And each one of them, they all have different dyad relationships as far as in 2s. And it's very, very different. And the 2 middle ones are almost like twins. We called them the trouble twins when they were kids, because they're just, they connect so well. And seeing when Spencer leaves, then comes back into the house, seeing he and Katie interact is different than what the other kids do. But seeing Katie and Gwen, when they had to share a room, they were going to kill each other. We got them in separate rooms. Now they're great. Now they spend more time together than apart.
Bit of that space helped.
As soon as that space helped, now they spend time in the rooms. The number of times that I find one of the girls that has fallen asleep in her sister's room on her bed with her is ridiculous. They are just that close all the time. So it's been really nice. But were we planning? Were we trying to? No, not in the least. And has it been a struggle at times? Absolutely. It's been hard.
Yeah.
It's been really hard at times.
So when we had just gotten married, we were hanging out with a lot of Catholics.
Yeah.
Rick Santorum, the guys who did the movie Bella, the Catholic crew in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
And I remember we just got married, and I was driving Rick to a speech, and he leans over and he goes, "Jeff, you're not on the birth control crap, are you?" I was like, "No, Senator, we're not." I think we tried it for 1 month, and it just went nutty and was not good. And so we were hanging out with a lot of Catholics and had 4 kids in 4.5 years.
Wow.
So they're all very close.
That's
and my
really
wife
quick.
did it all while she was in law school too. She's amazing. But
wow. Because that is a different experience, because ours are spread out. And part of us, there's, because of the brain injury that our oldest has, there's a 4-year gap there. The others are closer, but we took some time because he needed more time, and he had to have more time.
Right.
And then it was interesting with the next one that was born was his younger brother. And growing up, it really was Batman and Robin. They were like that all the time. And what Spencer was always going to be interested in, always doing whatever his older brother was, and always following him around and always looking up to him. And that was an interesting relationship as they grew up. And they're still really, really close. In fact, of all the siblings, Max is closest to Spencer by far.
Cool.
It was a little bit different with the girls growing up because there was a little bit of a space between the two. But he's viewed as that real older brother. He's viewed as a real guiding force in their lives. So.
Well, we're making some listeners sick.
You didn't like the chips?
If that's it. If you're looking to start a family and one of the challenges you have is low testosterone, I've got the solution for you.
Bum chicka burner.
Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, good friends of the show. They can improve your sleep, your workouts, your energy levels, and more, but they can also improve your love drive because low testosterone can have a significant impact on your desire for intimacy. And if you're in a relationship or wanting to be in a relationship, a low sex drive can really be a problem. There is good news. Go to Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic and take the Low T quiz on their website. It's a simple 10-question quiz with yes or no answers, and it only takes 2 minutes. Then schedule a consult with Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. A Colorado licensed medical provider will review your results with you and discuss your options. Cost of the appointment's only $99, which includes medical consult, T, and PSA test. If you sign up for testosterone treatment the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic has served the Front Range of Colorado for nearly a decade and successfully treated tens of thousands of men. Give them a call today at 720-440-7900 or visit RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's 720-440-7900 or visit RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. Why do you think people aren't building families? Yoram Hazony, this great political philosopher out of Israel, talks about this, about how conservatives can start to fight back. And his big thesis in his book, Conservatism or Rediscovery, is live a conservative life, build a family, live near your parents, have intergenerational transmission of values between older generations and younger generations. Get back to that idea of building multi-generational families. I think that helps. But I also think we've just had a culture that said that deprioritized building families. If you go back and read this article in the Wall Street Journal, really big article about the failure of birth rates across the globe, not just in America, but now in India and in China, and Japan's got real big problems with this. They're starting to now deal with just vacant buildings because of that. I think, where we got in this culture, what the article says, there's been 2 big drops that took place. We're now in the second one. The first one was post-industrial revolution. So you didn't have to have 12 kids to run a farm anymore. So as people moved into cities, they had fewer kids, 2, 3 kids, not 12 like they used to. But now we're going through a second drop. And I think it's primarily cultural. I just don't think we really promote the idea of having families and building families, and people are choosing not to live that lifestyle anymore.
And I think it's an extension. I can agree with you that it can be cultural, but I would extend that into what we've done in politics. And by that, I mean how we have set it up. It is very, very difficult to have a family right now.
You're exactly right.
It is hard to afford a house. It's hard to afford medical insurance. It's hard to afford childcare. It's hard to afford food. It's hard to afford college. There are so many things. It's hard to buy an extra car for the family.
Yeah.
All of those things make it infinitely more difficult. And here is a real world example that I can give you that is a difference just in the matter of a decade. The birth of my children.
Yeah.
Our medical insurance, when our oldest son was born, by far the most expensive. His medical bills, because of what he went through at the time, and this is 99, it's more than $1 million, his birth. And our youngest, very easy birth. Everything went really well and perfect. It cost us significantly more to have our 4th child than our first. And by significant, I'm talking not even close. For our first child, at that point, health insurance we paid a copayment at the very first neonatal visit and paid nothing else.
Wow.
One copayment at the very first neonatal visit. All the things getting up to the birth and beyond covered. Thousands of dollars
You know why
on the other end.
I'll agree with that, because the biggest thing I have to tell young people is to trust God with the finances when it comes to raising children. Build a family, get married young, have your children young. I firmly believe in that. It's so much better to go through life, especially those hard years when the kids are young and you're just starting the business younger together. And then as you get older, I'm 42 and I've got a kid that's about to start driving. This is a really fun time of life. I'm not that much older. And I still got energy and the ability to wrestle with my boys. I think that's important stuff. But the number one thing I have to tell, especially young Christian kids that are in college or stuff, is that you have to trust God, because the finances don't make sense. They really don't. But I also think that the kind of sexual revolution has just pushed people into a place where, marriage just isn't that important. And I think that's a big mistake. I think that's going to have long-term social consequences.
And I don't think that we put the structure in place to encourage marriage either.
Yeah, right.
And
I'm with you on
and
that.
that's part of it, is that we need to have it. And again, I go back to even the idea of the medical insurance, because that is a big thing with me, given what we deal with in our household, is that there are families right now looking at this going, because of how our health insurance is dealt with in this country. If we have a child and that child is born with a major medical problem, we could be bankrupt. We can lose everything we have. We are just starting out in life. We're going to lose our cars.
Yep.
If we have a condo or a house, we're going to lose that. And we are not going to be able to ever get ahead and ever thinking about having a house or starting our own life, God forbid, for retirement, simply because our child was born with a medical defect. And because of how we take care of that in the society, that's an issue. You want to talk about people not having, that's going to be it too.
With you.
Yeah.
Hey, is your student ready to live out their faith and prepare for their future career? For over 100 years, Colorado Christian University has been educating the next generation of Christian leaders in a distinctly Christ-centered community. CCU is the premier interdenominational Christian university in the Rocky Mountain region. They offer a world-class education, ranking in the top 2% of all colleges nationwide for their rigorous academics. Students can choose from over 100 undergraduate programs ranging from psychology, entrepreneurship, theology, and engineering to their nationally acclaimed nursing and education programs. CCU cultivates real faith that equips students in all areas of life. Their small campus and Christ-centered community set CCU apart. At CCU, students are known by name, not by number. Professors are mentors, developing students spiritually and professionally. No matter what degree path they choose, your student will graduate from Colorado Christian University ready to impact the world with grace and truth. To learn more and apply, go to ccu.edu/apply. That's ccu.edu/apply. Give us a call. Why do you think the birth rate is plummeting so far down? And what do you think the long-term impacts of these are going to be? We're not going to be able to fund Social Security. We're not going to be able to fund some of these programs. The nature of our very nation could change. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the 710 KNUS app. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour in Brussels, I'm Alex Cadier. Here are the top stories we're following. It's been revealed that the United States and Taiwan took part in secret naval drills in the Pacific Ocean back in April. It's the latest example of the two countries expanding their military cooperation. Laura Westbrook reports from Hong Kong.
The Reuters report said these drills took place last month, and it said these drills were called unplanned sea encounters, and that's so both sides could claim it was a coincidence that they held these drills at the same time at the same place. It said they involved around half a dozen Navy ships from both sides, and that was so the militaries from both countries could better cooperate in an emergency. Now, Beijing has said that it strongly opposes any military collusion between the United States and Taiwan. And the timing of this is interesting. It comes less than a week than the new Taiwanese president, William Lai, is inaugurated.
Salvage crews in Baltimore have conducted a controlled explosion of what remains of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. The blast will allow workers to clear the bow of a massive container ship which crashed into the bridge back in March. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says it can now use cranes to haul individual portions of the bridge away. While partial access to the Port of Baltimore, one of the U.S.'s largest, has been restored, the Corps says full access will be restored by the end of May. And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Alex Cadier in Brussels on Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show, discussing this big article, lengthy article in the Wall Street Journal. Suddenly, there aren't enough babies. The whole world is alarmed. Well, we also killed what, 60 million of them in this country through abortion. Let's go to Frank in Denver. Frank, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning.
Morning, guys. I think that article should be labeled an opinion article. A number of years ago, I was thinking about the problems of the world and what caused them and everything, and I started looking into it a little bit more. And one of the things and factoids that I came across was something like 93 million people are born into the world every year. And this article was talking about that 7 out of 8 of them are born into poverty. And if you think about the problems of the world by country, by region, by geography, by assets and resources, a lot of it is based on population density. And when you pay population density for a certain area and the amount of resources, you start infringing on people's rights and freedoms just by sheer numbers. And you see that prime example is in China and then India, and their inability and some of the decisions of the leaders, whether you believe they're right or wrong, are based on trying to do and provide for their people. And unfortunately, they just can't because of their resources and the abilities of those people to produce.
Well, so here's what the article gets at. In 2017, when the global fertility rate, a snapshot of how many babies a woman is expected to have over a lifetime, was 2.5. The United Nations thought it would slip to 2.4 in the late 2020s. Yet by 2021, the UN concluded it was already down to 2.3, close to what demographers consider the global replacement rate at about 2.2. The replacement rate, which keeps population stable over time, is 2.1 in rich countries now and slightly higher in developing countries. So we are not having enough children right now, Frank, to be able to replace America moving forward.
That varies with the area and the terrain and the resources, because why should a demographer say what is right for the number of babies per person?
Well, I think they're pointing out that there's not enough.
Well, that's their opinion. That's what I'm saying. Look at India. Look at the areas in India where the poor people are crammed in there like sardines, and in China and all these things. I mean, what I'm saying is population density may be or probably is one of the biggest challenges, that you can have more people, but they have requirements, food, water requirements. They have necessities, luxuries that they'd like. And all
Frank, when you're talking about that idea that the luxuries and things they need and the idea of the number of kids being born into poverty, there was a study I read recently where they were asking people about being born differently than they were as they were coming up. And something that was very interesting inside that study was that the vast majority, overwhelming number of people would prefer to be born as a different race rather than to be born poor. They would take the challenges that they see inherent in having a different skin color and different culture in America, then choose to start out as poor. And I think that could be part of it as well when we're looking at these lower birth rates at times, especially even in what you consider rich cultures, is in the rich countries. It is more of a challenge at times to be able to afford those children. It is more of a challenge to be able to make sure you can pay for those children and to assume that they can have a good life. And so I think there's some downward pressure on birth rates for exactly what you're talking about. The fact that the vast majority of them get born into poverty, both here and abroad.
I think you're a realist, Billy, and you're of an age where you're realizing these things. When we're young, we don't always realize it. But the majority of the people, it's a desire to have a relationship with someone, and the offspring come. But the problem is that every one of those, we are so lucky here in America to have the freedom that we have, and the amount of money that is spent on every person through their lifetime is so much greater than anywhere else in the world. That's why people want to come here. And nobody knows the right answer, but I'm just saying we should thank our lucky stars every day when we wake up for being born in America, because we have this freedom.
Frank,
Absolutely,
appreciate
man.
it.
Thanks,
Frank from Denver. His line will be open 303-696-1971. All right, dudes, if you're looking to get a mate and you got some thinning hair, I got the solution for you. I want to talk to you about advanced hair restoration. By the way, as you know, this show was rated the top talk radio show by Westward. Top hair restoration company in Denver, Advanced Hair Restoration. If you're losing your hair, you need a simple solution that works. You want the best. Modern technology with top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need Dr. Tanya Pauls and her team at Advanced Hair. They've completely redefined hair restoration from the experience itself to their unmatched results. Receding hairline, balding spot, or thinning hair, address them all with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of these breakthrough treatments. And get this, your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. No one in Denver can offer anything like the advanced FUE found in Advanced Hair, and I highly recommend their team. It starts with your free consultation. Call 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll also get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Refine your hairline with the team that's redefined hair restoration. 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. Jim, we'll get to you next. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. I want to get to Jim in just a second, but if you're facing some financial issues, American Financing are the people I want you to give you a call, because this debt is piling up, guys, in a really bad way. Everyone thinks mortgage rates are extremely high, but it's not entirely true. Mortgage rates are much lower than the average credit card rate of 22%. Think about how much interest you're going to pay on that credit card if you're paying only the minimum payment every month. If you're a homeowner or a cash out refinance, if you're a homeowner, a cash out refinance with American Financing can help you pay off that debt and lower your monthly expense. They're saving homeowners just like you an average of $854 a month. Their salary-based mortgage consultants will show you how much you can save every month with no upfront fees and no obligation. You may even close in as fast as 10 days and possibly delay 2 mortgage payments, giving you greater savings upfront. Get the financial relief you need and stop living paycheck to paycheck. Call American Financing today. American Financing, 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000. AmericanFinancing.net, NMLS 182-334-consumeraccess.org.
That is a really good idea, though. Hang on. The idea of taking your credit card debt and rolling it into your house loan, especially if you have a little bit of equity built up in that home loan.
Yep.
Because what can happen is you can wipe out that credit card debt. You're writing a new loan, and your new amount is less than the first amount, many times keeping your payment exactly where it is, and in some cases lowering it. It can be a really, really excellent technique, and I speak from experience. 15, 16 years ago, my wife and I used that as, it's got to be 20 years ago now. We used that as a technique, and it was very, very effective. So again, you got a little bit of equity built up. It's a great way to create some breathing room in your in your budget.
You know who's really effective? Dan Kaplis at Dan Kaplis Law.
Incredibly. He gets
I've known this guy for years. He's pro-family, pro-faith, pro-America, pro-life. So not only do you have someone that has all the same shared values you do, but this guy is a winner, right? So if you're going to show up in court, you're going out there with the big guys. Dan Kaplis Law, he's the son of a police officer. He's the former seminarian. He's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history, this is why I say he's a winner, to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Kaplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. If you need Dan's help, give him a call, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dankapleslaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLISlaw.com. Let's go to Jim in Denver. Jim, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Jim.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thank you for both having enough children to outlast the tax base and the way things are going now. And you will be rewarded with by continuing your family heritage and family name.
That's right.
As an American family, because in the end, when we're on our deathbed, the only thing that really matters is whether we actually did something in life to continue what we believe in, our family name and all that. We need to continue this conversation because if we continue worshiping money the way we have, these finances are going to do to us something similar to what the one-child policy did to the Chinese. Those people's lives are over. Their heritage is going to end, even though there's, maybe a couple billion of them, even though they've been lying about the count by maybe 300 million. And those are 300 million young people that might not even have ever been there.
Jim, to your point, I was having dinner with John Suthers, the former mayor of Colorado Springs, the other day. He has written a book about being a good ancestor.
Oh.
So three generations from now, will they look back at you and be like, man, you really set up our family for success?
your generation may not be here 3 generations from now if we don't make some better decisions. We had 80 million baby boomers with an expanding economy, and now they're all about to hit the graveyard with 30-year period. And we had a great economy, and what did we do? We created the world's biggest deficits. This country is going to change faster than ever before, and we've set ourselves up for the largest wave of immigration, and it's not to expand our numbers. It's just to fill the empty shoes and the empty houses
Jim,
that are coming
Denver,
our way.
you're exactly right. I
point, man.
appreciate it. Thanks so much for the
Yeah,
call.
thanks for listening.
Thanks to everybody that was a part of today's show. We had a ton of fun. Chris Murray joined us in the 6 o'clock hour, gave us the details on the Michael Cohen testimonies in the Trump trials. Priscilla Rhan, candidate for Douglas County in the 7 o'clock hour. Then we dived into Jerry Seinfeld's commencement, world birth rates decline, all of that you can get at 710knus.com. Charlie Kirk's up next. You've been listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Hope you have a good day.